This is Daily Blast Live. We're talking about what you're talking about. Real, honest, entertaining, live. DBL starts right now.
3, 2.
Thank you, Patty. Welcome to DBL, everyone. It's Monday, April 12th. I'm Tori, and I'm here with Brandon and Erica. Good to see you both.
Good to see you.
Good to see everyone. Well, it was a very scary situation in Georgia very early this morning. 3 police officers were shot during a high-speed chase. Officials confirmed the suspect is dead. Meantime, in Minneapolis, a 20-year-old man, Dante Wright, was shot during a traffic stop and later died. Now, this sparked protests and confrontation with the police. The National Guard had to be called in. This all happened about 10 miles from where Derek Chauvin is on trial for the killing of George Floyd. Speaking of which, the prosecution is wrapping up their portion of the trial and may rest later this week. But the question is this, and I'm going to ask this for you to think about as we discuss. How will this affect the jury, who at this point are not sequestered? And I want to remind everyone, the judge was asked for them to be sequestered due to the unrest, and he said, no, I will have them. This is not the same case. They are open to see it, but they will be sequestered on Monday when they go in for deliberation. What do you think about that? To me, Erica, that leaves an appeal on the table, meaning if I'm a defense attorney, I could say, well, the jury was unfairly tarnished by what was going on 10 miles down the road.
Yeah, I think we've really been watching this case much differently than any other case, because ultimately the first question that I had was, who are these jurors who are eligible to actually be in this jury poll? Because are they so sequestered in life that they don't know what's been happening in the world, or are they aware of what happened but seriously haven't formulated an opinion about it, which says an interesting thing about the jury pool compared to what we're seeing the rest of the country and the rest of the world thinking. I don't really know. I think that at the end of the day, maybe that was the whole point of having the jury to begin with, because this whole case seemingly would be a Hail Mary for Chauvin.
But Tori, before we got on air, you were talking about how if you're a defense attorney, you would be you would want this because in the appellate court, you're talking about this is something that could be used, but this jury has already heard a former police department chief say that, hey, this is not what this officer was trained to do. So I'm asking you, and after we're hearing what Erica said about how, hey, you're not sequestered from the world, we know this is going on. Why? Like, why would someone, like, I don't understand, like, why would this be such a problem, or why is this making news right now?
Well, the issue is, it's so interesting that this keeps happening in Minneapolis. Something's going on with the police force.
What's happened in Minneapolis.
Something, investigation federally needs to be going on, because this is incredible. His mom was on the phone while the poor man was shot. But I will say this, as for an appeal, and I'm not for this, I'm just saying if I'm a defense attorney, I can say in this case, well, because this unrest happened down the road, the jurors weren't sequestered, therefore they were unfairly tarnished by anger from that bled into this, therefore I'm going to appeal this case. And what you don't want is for this to happen all over again, for us to go through the trauma all over again. I don't want that to happen. I'm worried that leaves it on the table. So would love to know what you guys think. This next story is super interesting. A Florida woman is going to jail after she was caught on camera coughing on a fellow customer at a Pier 1 store. Remember this last summer? Just so happens the woman she coughed on was being treated for a brain tumor. The coughing woman was sentenced to 30 days in jail, a $500 fine, and 6 months probation, along with a mental health evaluation and anger management. But the question is, does a jail sentence make sense for coughing on someone during a pandemic? Yeah. I think so. Isn't it a weapon?
Yeah.
Is it not a weapon?
Absolutely. And for people who didn't take this seriously, I mean, we already know 550,000 plus people have lost their lives, and you're going to go around and cough to be a weapon yourself.
That's right.
So yeah, sit your ass in jail.
IV and you don't tell someone that you were used, your body and blood is known as a weapon, and you can be charged with a felony because of that.
And keep in mind, like, this doesn't happen now where we have the vaccine and the vaccines being rolled out. This happened back in July of the summer when we were heightened. If you got coughed on and let's say you tested positive, you automatically think that you had some sort of death sentence because of the virus and what people were going through, the deaths at that time. So this woman who is now trying to play the victim and saying that, oh, well, I can't get into my country club now. I've been turned into some sort of social pariah. I think that social sentence is fitting for what she did, because when you play stupid games, you win stupid prizes.
And she's a mother of like 10, right?
The victim is a mother of 10 and having brain tumor at that time. People were losing jobs at that time. People were losing family members at that time. And if she was leaving her household where you have 10 kids at home to go into a Pier 1 Imports or Bath Beyond or whatever it was, you're leaving that house for a reason. You're leaving that house for a need, not necessarily a want. And that's the last thing someone wanted to deal with at that time, someone coughing on them.
You know what I hated most about that? The face. The face where she goes to cough, where she's so smirky and so sure of herself. Such a Anywho, let us know. Here's a question for you guys. Are you guys comfortable asking people, have you been vaccinated? That's it. That's the question.
That's the question.
That's and it's actually a very ethically interesting to deal with, sort of like, let's talk HIPAA, right? Like, I can't ask certain people their medical background. That's against HIPAA laws. I want to know if you've been vaccinated, if you're going to come to my house, but I understand ethically that's a real issue. What do you guys think?
Well, since that's your personal space, that's your house, I think that's fitting. I think that's okay for you to ask someone if they're coming over for drinks or a charcuterie plate or something, whatever it is that you do. I think that's okay because you're letting them into your space. And then what if you have family members there? What if you have people who could be immunocompromised there? So I think that, yes, that is okay in that instance. But if you're going to public places, if you're going to a Rockies game or baseball game or even, I don't think that's appropriate for you to ask, because at the end of the day, if we're talking herd immunity, if we have to get up to what, 70%, 75%, there's still going to be 30%, 25% of the people who are not inoculated. So I think that we're going down a slippery slope when it comes to being able to discriminate people who aren't vaccinated for whatever. It could be a religious reason as well.
Yeah, and I hear that, and I do think that, but I think that I am going to be biased against people that don't get vaccinated, even though I don't want to be, only because I think so strongly of science, and I think so strongly of my mother, who's so immune compromised, that I want that for everyone. Maybe that's an unfair bias, though. What do you think, Erica?
Well, I think that also leads you to the question of why they have or have not been vaccinated, because you don't know what people's medical situations are. Like, we don't know the reason why someone might choose not to get vaccinated, and in my opinion, it's still their choice. I think it is appropriate if you're talking about social situations and you want to make sure that not only that you're protecting yourself, but you're protecting that person who wasn't vaccinated. I've had to get together for different things, for basically like funerals and family engagements during this past year. And yeah, we were very clear about all the protocols that we had taken. So I anticipate that being that way in the future, if not for us personally, but for whoever else might be there. Because I think people still are a little confused about, if you are vaccinated, can you be a carrier and can you actually infect someone else, which is important to know. Yeah, interesting. And I know mine's sort of an unfair bias. Wonder if you guys have the same. Well, we have to give a big DBL shout out to Hideki Matsuyama. He won the Masters this weekend at Augusta National. He is the first Japanese golfer to win one of golf's major championships. My favorite moment, too, was when his caddy went over to the 18 to put the pin back in, and he bowed to the course. And it was such a classy move to be like, what a great culture to see mixed with the Masters, and it was just so respectful. What do you think? I mean, if I'm bowing, I'm like, my bank account is about to blow up. So yeah, it was a respectful thing, but at the same time, but just think of representing a culture or a community, and you come out and you're on top. You've won it. That's the best feeling in the world. Well, especially right now. I mean, the whole social justice movement against Stop Asian Hate, and then you see a win. That's how you win. That's how you win. Coming up on DBL, TV icon. I can't wait for this. John Stamos. He's reliving his awkward teen years and tells us why he cries all the time. You don't want to miss this. And are certain age groups happier than others? We want to tell you the age when people are the happiest. We don't know. None of us do. Stay tuned for that. Coming up next.
Closed captioning provided by
Our Verify team fact checks the things that you see swirling around on social media so that you know what's real and what's just rumor. We've seen dozens of posts on social media like this one, which appears to be a newscast graphic saying that there's a no scream policy on roller coasters, and a second line that reads, Disneyland enforcing policy. So let's verify, is there really a no scream policy at Disneyland because of COVID-19? Our sources are posted reopening guidelines from Disneyland, as well as the California Attractions and Park Association, or CAPA, which is a trade group that oversees a lot of the amusement industry in the state. Let's start with CAPA, which issued these reopening guidelines. These guidelines lay out a bunch of different ways that parks can stay safe when they reopen. That includes physical distancing and designated areas for eating. Those guidelines do not say anything about banning screaming on rides. The group even cleared this up on Twitter, saying in part, quote, these guidelines do not require parks to prohibit screaming. The Verify team also checked Disneyland's latest reopening guidelines, posted on their website, which again say nothing about a no-screen policy. So we can verify that no, Disneyland is not currently enforcing a no-screen policy at their park. So when the park reopens on April 30th, rest assured you can do all the screaming that you want when you're on those rides. With your Verify, I'm Evan Kozlov.
Welcome back to DBL. A big shout out to our coworkers tuning in from home during the pandemic. I see Angelica, Leo? I see you all. There's Mark in his cool headband. All right. I think Mark's the happiest person I know. At what age do you think people are the happiest, though? Let's go around the horn and guess. So, at what age, men and women, they took a survey. Brandon, what do you think their happiest age is?
35.
35?
I'm going to say 50.
50?
I'm going to say 65.
You read the link?
I don't.
Okay.
I haven't seen it, and I'm about to look. So everyone come up at home, or you're on your phone, whatever. Take your time. Think about it. Well, according to a recent poll, the most popular answer is 36.
I'm 36 right now.
6?
What?
And here's why. Here's why. I had it separated between men and women, but I'm just going to speak from a male standpoint. I think for men, once we hit around that 32-year-old, 32 to 35-year-old age, you are so comfortable with yourself, or you should be comfortable with not only your finances, but
Really?
Really?
I'm not at all. And I'm 39.
No.
Like, I'm the most uncomfortable person about
You
everything.
see how happy you are, Erica?
I'm 40, okay? And I can tell you, I was not happy with all those things at 36.
Okay.
No, wait, well, this is the age that researchers say people have finally got the career, the relationship, the life skills that they've been working so hard to get throughout their 20s. Is the age when people report feeling like they finally arrived. I'm sorry, then I am a late bloomer. At 39, I just learned to say no to people and to know how to not people please. I am learning so much right now, and I am almost 40. I have zero. At 36, I knew nothing.
Well, 36 is the year that I started my comeback, so that was that is like, I do remember feeling like this euphoria of I can do anything, but I would have to say that now I'm far more clear on who I am than I was 4 years ago.
But that euphoria, like you said, that euphoria of feeling like you can do everything is because you've been tested, you've been tried, you've been through the fire. So at that age of, depending on who you are, 33 to 36, you feel like you're invincible because you've been through it before. And now you don't care about what outside people think or outside voices.
That didn't happen for me for much later. And to be honest, I do think what you said has a valid point, that it's different for men and women, especially for, being a mother at that time period, being later where you can continue on with your career. Maybe for me, it's just I can see myself really being Tory at like 65.
Yeah, I could see that for you.
You know what I mean, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to get there
Sooner.
about 50.
I see that too.
That's why I assume
I
this
see
is
that.
the-
Y'all need to live a little
Well,
then.
no, because you know what you know, and then you're almost getting a little bit more clear about what you don't know, and you're ready to acknowledge it. As when you're younger, you don't want to acknowledge what you don't know because people are always telling you what you don't know.
Okay.
I don't know a lot. Coming up on DBL, TV star John Stamos, from Jammin' with the Beach Boys to fatherhood. This legendary entertainment icon is telling us all about it. Coming up next.
Family Families with kids could be getting thousands of dollars thanks to the massive stimulus bill passed in March. But how will the child tax credit work? Let's connect the dots. The stimulus bill expanded that credit for eligible families and could mean as much as $3,600 per qualified kid. But calculating how much you'll get is a little complicated. It depends on their age. Kids 5 and under qualify for the full $3,600, then $3,000 for kids ages 6 to 17, and $500 for an 18-year-old who's still a dependent. How much parents make matters too. If you're single, your adjusted gross income needs to be $75,000 or less to get the full amount. For joint filers, that limit is $150,000. If you make more, the amount you get per child decreases as your income rises. In order to get the payment, you need to file your 2020 taxes, and you won't get the payment in one lump sum. The money will be split between 2021 and 2022. According to CNET, this year's portion is expected to start going out in July and will be paid periodically. Right now, there's no set schedule.
Welcome back to DBL. We call him Uncle Jesse. Hey, yo. But in John Stamos' latest role, he goes by Coach. Earlier, John dropped by DBL to tell us all about it. Plus, we talked about his favorite career highlights. That's in today's Chatting with the Stars.
Marvin Corr, any advice?
These girls are going to lead the world someday.
All in?
Some of them can be a bit much.
I'm sorry, you chewing gum?
This is Westbrook. We won't respond to My Way or the Highway.
That was the trailer for The Big Shot, a Disney Plus limited series. And joining us is the show star. Welcome, John Stamos.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hey.
You look beautiful. You sound great, and you look great.
Thank you very much, John Stamos. That means a lot.
We're like twins. He was talking to me.
No, he was talking to me, trust me. Okay, so we can't wait to talk to you about your new role. But first, we know you have a long, successful, very envious career. But there's two achievements that we think that our viewers are going to be surprised about. So we're curious, which one was the bigger highlight, being the official voice on the Graceland tours or being the drummer for the Beach Boys?
Oh, that's tough. Well, the Beach Boys, you know, it was a dream, obviously. When I was a kid, I dreamt of like meeting the Beach Boys, let alone playing with them. But it's lasted for like 35 years now. So I'd say that's the biggie. But being the voice of Graceland was pretty cool too. Over here, Elvis, you know, sat on this piano and he did this. Pretty cool. You know, I always think if I was going to write a book, it'd be called "If You Would Have Told Me." Like, if you would have told me I'd be playing with the Beach Boys, or if you would have told me I'd be on the Daily Blast Live.
John's good.
Yeah.
John's good.
Look how low John is in his chair. I feel like we all need to help him out and go low in our chairs.
All right, no problem. No problem. Oh, now he raised up.
You go low, I go high.
He just did it.
Okay.
Well, John, listen, the audience could already see we are identical twins. We look exactly alike. But I want to know if we are the same fathers, because I know you have a 2-year-old son, Billy. I have a 2 and a 4-year-old. But John, as a father, when my wife was pregnant, I started crying at commercials, movies, everything. I'm more emotional now than ever. Did you feel like the same thing with your son?
I've cried, and I'm not even making a joke. I've cried 4 times this morning during the interview. I swear. And I said to my press, I said, "Do I cry to you?" And says, "No, you cry at everything." Yes, I cry at commercials. Well, and this show, you know, first of all, he starts out as a coach and everything, and then I become a father. I'm a father, but my daughter moves in with me on episode 3, and I don't know how to be a father, and I learned, you know, throughout the episodes. And in episode 10, you'll relate to this maybe. He finally gets it. He says, you know, I think being a parent it's not about the time you spend. I mean, it is the time or the money or the discipline or the boundaries, but it's about sacrifice. And it's about sacrificing your own needs for the good of your child. And if you do that right, if you don't get a ring and you don't get a trophy, but you get a kid who's loving enough and caring enough and smart enough to be a better version of you.
Let's go win a basketball game.
you know, this show really is breaking down stereotypes. It's okay to cry. And a guy like my character, releasing his assumptions of girls and women's sports, and then connecting with these girls, I think it's a new time right now, and it's fine to cry. The line is moving all the time. If we're not listening, then it's on us.
You play a high school coach, but take us back to your high school days. Were you a sports guy, theater kid, bad boy? And could high school you handle your tough coach character?
What's the opposite of a sports guy? My dad was into sports. I know nothing. Here, I went down to learn how to be a coach with Jerry West, and I called the day. I said, thanks for inviting me to the rehearsal. And he said, first of all, son, it's not called rehearsal, it's practice. So, I mean, that tells you. I was not, and in high school, I was a dorky, geeky band geek. I mean, the only thing I had connected to sports was them beating me up, the football players.
No.
I knew nothing about it. And my dad loved sports, but I loved spending time with him. He was a golfer. And so I took some lessons and I was so excited. I said, Dad, let's go play. And I went out and I sliced the ball and it went by this 90-year-old woman's temple, like my little, and I could have killed a woman. And my dad said, put that down. Don't ever do that again. And like, I think of myself in high school and I wish I could go back and go, it's gonna be okay. You're gonna get the girl. You won't have to stand in line at Disneyland. You know, you're gonna be okay.
Thank you, John, for stopping by DBL. Make sure to check out The Big Shot on Disney+. We love you, John.
We're best friends.
I want to go to Disneyland and not have to wait in line. We'll be right back.
Promotional consideration is brought to you by
A lot of viewer questions about Derek Chauvin's murder trial. Jean asks, is Chauvin incarcerated during his trial? Let's verify.
Our sources, court documents, and a legal expert. Police arrested Chauvin last May, 4 days after George Floyd's death. He spent 4 months in a Minnesota prison. But in October, court documents show he posted a $1 million bond and was released from custody.
But the judge ordered specific conditions, citing safety concerns.
Initially, Chauvin couldn't leave Minnesota. That's standard. But the judge changed that to allow Chauvin to live in any bordering state if he wants: Wisconsin, Iowa, or the Dakotas.
That is an unusual condition, and that's specifically because of presumed concerns about safety.
Rachel Moran is a professor at St. Thomas Law School in Minneapolis.
He previously had a house in Minnesota, and his address had been released. Many people knew about it. He couldn't go live there. So the idea is that he's living in an undisclosed location.
The court and law enforcement know where Chauvin's staying, but the judge ordered them to keep it confidential, except on a need-to-know basis. Chauvin is monitored by a conditional release officer with the Minnesota Department of Corrections, and the judge is ordering him to keep a cell phone on him at all times in case they call.
I think the reason for that is to compensate for the fact that they're allowing him to live out of state.
Plus, he has to surrender any passports.
That's fairly standard.
So we can verify, no, Derek Chauvin is not incarcerated during his trial. With your Verify, I'm Gabe Cohen.
Welcome back to DBL. We love sharing your comments. So Curtis on Facebook says this about the Chauvin trial. Somebody got to get a life sentence for these cops to understand the nature of these crimes. What do you guys think about that?
Yeah, waiting.
All we're asking for is accountability.
Thank you.
Accountability.
I appreciate that. This is Dondre says on Facebook, I'm so sick of coming on Facebook and seeing more and more of our lives being taken to senseless acts of the people that are supposed to be in place to serve and protect. We need protection from them. I couldn't agree more. We'd love to hear from what you guys think. And Donna said, I wanted to comment on HIPAA. I didn't know this. You can't ask a person if they're vaccinated. You just can't ask a medical professional about someone other than yourself.
Ooh, okay.
A person can refuse to answer you, which is fine, and you can take your desired action, but HIPAA regulations govern medical professionals' ability to provide information on others. That's really good to know.
So with that said you had a little bit of a bias. So if you invited some friends over and you asked someone, hey, are you vaccinated? They said no. Now what?
Now I'd say I'm not really comfortable having you. I'd do it beforehand.
Okay.
But I certainly think that that's within my right to say so. Although someone wrote on here, what about allergies to the drug? And that's a real issue. So it's a complicated thing. It's not easy.
I'm sorry. Okay.
No, I just think this is something that we're going to look back on, even a year from now and feel differently than we feel right now. So
even next week we will.
Yeah, that's how it's going day to day.
That is true. And Sandy M says, I'm not going to be happiest at 65. Come on, Tori. What's wrong with 65? You got a bike, you got some beach community, you're good and happy. Retired. Goodbye to coworkers at home today. When the pandemic is over, we'll be back again in the studio. DBL's new every day. We'll see you same time, same place tomorrow.
Here's what we're talking about today on Daily Blast Live.
Unrest in the streets of Minneapolis after an officer-involved shooting, just as the prosecution prepares to rest its case in the Derek Chauvin trial. Could this latest death involving police impact the outcome? A woman who coughed on a cancer patient in a store gets 30 days in jail. DBL Nation, do you think this is a fair punishment? Prince Harry is back in the UK for Prince Philip's funeral without Meghan. Why did she stay behind? And John Stamos is on DBL today, talking about everything from his new show to dad life.
You go low, I go high.
Real, honest, entertaining, live. DBL starts right now.
3, 2,
Welcome to DBL. It is Monday, April 12th. I'm Sam here with Jeff and Erica. Tori joins us from home. Let's get right to it because it was a scary situation in Georgia. Very early this morning, 3 police officers were shot during a high-speed chase. Officials confirmed the suspect is dead. Meantime, in Minneapolis, a 20-year-old man, Daunte Wright, was shot during a traffic stop and later died. This sparked protests and a confrontation with police. The National Guard has been called in. We're also now learning that the officer who fired the shot that killed Wright used the wrong weapon. She intended to use her taser, but pulled her gun instead. That's according to the police chief. Okay, Erica, does it matter that this was an accident?
No. No. What kind of, like, what's that supposed to do for the family that just lost someone senselessly for a traffic stop? I mean, are we not training our police officers well enough that in that moment, like, was her life in danger in that moment that she couldn't stop down to make that decision? And I'm not trying to act as though I understand what that decision is like, but I do want to act as though I hope that people who are in that position understand what that decision is like.
I am being told that she's a senior police officer, so that goes to your point even more. How are you, again, none of us are trying to Monday morning quarterback here, but knowing that a son's father died senselessly,
right,
that a child of someone died senselessly, like, what kind of training took place for her to, and she did call out taser, 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 so she apparently, according to her colleagues, believed she pulled out her taser, but a man is dead. If that was your son, if that was your father, if that was your brother, would those words matter? And let me read to you a statement, and then please chime in, Jeff. Brooklyn Center Police Chief Tim Gannon says, "We will get to the bottom of this. We will do all that is within our power to make sure that justice is done for Daunte Wright." Yeah, everything but bring him back to life. You can't bring him back to life.
Yeah, listen, I don't know whether it's an accident does matter or not, right? If it was an accident, then what? But you're right, the training needs to be there. We need to hold our police officers to a higher standard. I'm all for the police. I support the police department openly on the show. And I say we need to have training for them. As the years go on, just like you have to renew your driver's license, you need to renew that badge. You need to renew a license to have a gun. You need to renew. I can't speak for what it's like in the heat of the moment, whether to reach for my taser or gun. Who knows, unless you're in that position, what to reach for, right? But if you're trained, it's like clockwork. You know where everything is without thinking about it. So maybe it needs to go back to training on this one.
I just want to add this
Erica
point.
And Tori.
Okay, I'm sorry, Tori. I just want to add this point because I think that people think, well, I'm never going to be in this situation, like, or what did he do wrong? Keep in mind that if a police officer responds to your home, as I've had this happen, when the police came to my home, 6 police officers all had guns drawn. Every single one of them. I was holding, and I've said this before, like, I was holding a knife in my hand. I was in such shock that I didn't even realize I was holding the knife. And at that point, like, that's a judgment call moment. I want people to have, like, cool heads and understand what that experience is going to be, because at any point something could have gone wrong. And I was very clear about everything, that I was a black woman and I was the homeowner, that the assailant was a white male. But when it came down to it, you don't know if a person is going to be in their right mind or not, and it's up to the professionals to do that. And that situation was handled as they swept the entire home flawlessly. So I do understand that when we're talking about having training and wanting to know that you can trust that, those are the things we want to be able to trust when you really need them in the moment. And that doesn't necessarily mean that you've done something to cause that situation.
Tori?
Yeah, first off, I want to say 3 things. One, something's got to be done about the Minneapolis Police Department. This is now Ferguson. We now have the Derek Chauvin, and now we have this. This is 10 miles away from the jury that's going into this. Something's deadly wrong within that organization. And number 2, I'm no longer okay giving absolute okay authority to an organization that continually murders its citizens for no reason. The man had an air freshener problem. They were pulling him over for an air freshener. He was on the phone with his mother, and he said to his mom, to the cops, what am I getting arrested for? And they said, we'll tell you when you get out of the car. Well, if I were that man and I was a person of color 10 miles from the Derek Chauvin trial, I might not have felt that comfortable either, as we've seen. So I just want everybody to be clear. Something's terribly wrong within, and I mean it has to be done, taken apart and started again for the citizens to trust the Minneapolis Police Department.
Thank you, Tori. Now, just to clarify, I'm being told those are two different police departments, but however, within miles apart from one another. So I think your point is still well taken. A Florida woman is going to jail after she was caught on camera coughing on a fellow customer at a Pier 1 store last summer. Wow. It just so happens the woman she coughed on was being treated for a brain tumor. The coughing woman was sentenced to 30 days in jail, a $500 fine, and 6 months probation, along with a mental health evaluation and anger management. But the question is, does a jail sentence make sense for coughing on someone during a pandemic? Jeff?
Absolutely. What would my sentence be if I punched that woman in the face? Because that's exactly what she did. She assaulted somebody. If you spit on somebody, that's the same as me punching you in the face. But if a man does it to someone else, you're going to get a longer prison sentence, right? But if you do that to somebody, what, you get 30 days in jail and you have to go to whatever it is, anger management? No, you should be treated as that was an assault. I say throw the book at her.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think, we look at COVID, right? And it's a weapon. You could lose your life to COVID. You could end up hospitalized to COVID. You could be like my brother-in-law who's awaiting a double lung transplant as we speak in an ICU for 3 months now. Or you could be someone that's a long hauler. So you get COVID, you get mild symptoms, and then for months and months and months after, you battle with asthma or you battle with other conditions. So to purposefully cough in someone's face, to purposely go into a store without a mask when it is mandated for you to do so, not only illegal, not only egregious, but yeah, you better get, I was going to say something I shouldn't, but you better go to jail. You better go to jail. Do I sound like I'm being too?
No, I was like, I mean,
okay.
Mic drop. What else are we supposed to say?
Okay, so
I'm good. I'm good on her being in jail. Real good. And I'd like to see some community service that has her making up some wrongs.
Or be around COVID patients.
She needs to go to the ER.
Yeah.
She needs to go to the ICU, and she needs to see not only those individual patients struggling, she needs to see how the families struggle. The way it impacts family members is absolutely excruciating. So I hope that part of her sentence is going to an ICU, protecting herself, but at the same time, learning how her cough puts not only one individual, or could possibly put one individual in a position to fight for their life, but an entire family waiting in limbo while their loved one is fighting for their life. Coming up on DBL, TV icon John Stamos. He's reliving his awkward teen years. There he is.
You can't say John Stamos angrily.
I know. I have to I'm trying to exhale as
it's understandable.
John Stamos is helping me.
Look into those eyes.
You think you look like him. That's why he's saying
no,
it, you guys.
I wish I did.
Well,
Sorry.
Just wait for the interview.
Okay.
You'll see. There's a little bromance going on between Jeff and John. Plus, Prince Harry returns to England for his grandfather's funeral, but Meghan stayed behind. Was that a wise choice? We'll tell you all about it. And are certain age groups happier than others? The age when people are the happiest. Coming up next.
Closed captioning provided by
Our Verify team fact checks the things that you see swirling around on social media so that you know what's real and what's just rumor. We've seen dozens of posts on social media like this one, which appears to be a newscast graphic saying that there's a no scream policy on roller coasters, and a second line that reads Disneyland enforcing policy. So let's verify, is there really a no scream policy at Disneyland because of COVID-19? Our sources are posted reopening guidelines from Disneyland, as well as the California Attractions and Park Association, or CAPA, which is a trade group that oversees a lot of the amusement industry in the state. Let's start with CAPA, which issued these reopening guidelines. These guidelines lay out a bunch of different ways that parks can stay safe when they reopen. That includes physical distancing and designated areas for eating. Those guidelines do not say anything about banning screaming on rides. The group even cleared this up on Twitter, saying in part, quote, "These guidelines do not require parks to prohibit screaming." The Verify team also checked Disneyland's latest reopening guidelines, posted on their website, which again say nothing about a no-screen policy. So we can verify that no, Disneyland is not currently enforcing a no-screen policy at their park. So when the park reopens on April 30th, rest assured you can do all the screaming that you want when you're on those rides. With your Verify, I'm Evan Kozlov.
Welcome back to DBL. Check out all of our co-workers at home during the pandemic. Keep up the great work, everybody. We miss you. Okay, so at what age do you think people are the happiest? We're going to go around the horn and guess, and then we're going to see if we're right. None of us know. So what do you think?
What age,
what age do you think is...
I was going to say for me personally.
No, just, okay, that can apply to you, but in general.
I would say 40.
Okay. All right, Erica?
I'm going to go with 50.
I'm going to go with 50 also. I don't mean to piggyback, but
No.
I think, yeah. And Tori, you're here, right? Tori?
Yeah, I would say 60. 60 and above.
Okay, so...
I think Carol Baskins went too high.
Because she's wearing leopard print? Okay, so according to a recent poll, the most popular answer is 36. That doesn't make sense. No way.
So who won, Sam?
Well, it depends. If we're playing Price is Right, you did not win.
But if we're just saying closest to, who
then
won?
You won.
Oh, I did?
But I'm going with the Price is Right rules, so you lost. That's the age when researchers say people have finally got their career, relationship, and life skills that they've been working so hard to get throughout their 20s. It's the age when people report feeling like they finally arrived. What? 36? You're supposed to have your career straight? No way.
I don't get this at all. I mean, 36 was the year that I started my comeback, so I did feel this like euphoria of being able to like achieve things.
Yep.
But I would say I'm going to be far happier when I'm 50.
Oh, me too. I'm all about 50. I'm ready for 50.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, the age I am, not to be cliche, I'm very happy at where I'm at and with my family and everything, so that's why I guess around 40.
I wonder who they asked, Tori, because guaranteed most people at 36 years old, they're still struggling to buy a home in this economy. Perhaps they have multiple jobs. Maybe they didn't want to have kids yet, or maybe they don't want to have kids at all. Like, I wonder who they polled.
I completely agree with you. And also, is it men and women or together? I assume the poll is all together, but drastically not what I felt. I am a late bloomer, and a lot of you wrote me after I last said this. I'm just learning to say no and create boundaries for myself right now. I know, I'll be super open about it. I'm 39. I'm a late bloomer. It's going to happen for me a little bit later in life. So for me to be comfortable in my skin with the right money and the right, setup, and for me to take a breath, I got to be in the 60s.
So Tori, do you want to come over and watch the kids later?
Yeah.
And then after, come watch mine.
She's still having trouble saying no. You got to work on those boundaries, girl. That was a test, and you failed miserably. Coming up on DBL.
I just wanted a babysitter.
Coming up on DBL, actress Justine Bateman is speaking out about plastic surgery, why she calls it a Ponzi scheme. But first, TV star John Stamos, from Jammin' with the Beach Boys to fatherhood, this legendary entertainment icon is telling us all about it next.
Thousands of dollars thanks to the massive stimulus bill passed in March. But how will the child tax credit work? Let's connect the dots. The stimulus bill expanded that credit for eligible families and could mean as much as $3,600 per qualified kid. But calculating how much you'll get is a little complicated. It depends on their age. Kids 5 and under qualify for the full $3,600, then $3,000 for kids ages 6 to 17, and $500 for an 18-year-old who's still a dependent. How much parents make matters too. If you're single, your adjusted gross income needs to be $75,000 or less to get the full amount. For joint filers, that limit is $150,000. If you make more, the amount you get per child decreases as your income rises. In order to get the payment, you need to file your 2020 taxes, and you won't get the payment in one lump sum. The money will be split between 2021 and 2022. According to CNET, this year's portion is expected to start going out in July and will be paid periodically. Right now, there's no set schedule.
Welcome back to DBL. We call him Uncle Jesse, but in John Stamos' latest role, he goes by Coach. Earlier, John dropped by DBL to tell us all about it. Plus, we talk about his favorite career highlights. That is in today's Chatting with the Stars.
Marvin Court. Any advice?
These girls are going to lead the world someday.
All in.
Some of them can be a bit much.
I'm sorry, are you chewing gum?
This is Westbrook. We won't respond to my way or the highway.
That was the trailer for The Big Shot, a Disney Plus limited series. And joining us is the show star. Welcome, John Stamos.
Yes. Hello.
Hey.
You look beautiful. You sound great, and you look great.
Thank you very much, John Stamos. That means a lot.
We're like twins. He was talking to me.
No, he was talking to me, trust me. Okay, so we can't wait to talk to you about your new role. But first, we know you have a long, successful, very envious career. But there's two achievements that we think that our viewers are going to be surprised about. So we're curious, which one was the bigger highlight? Being the official voice on the Graceland tours or being the drummer for the Beach Boys?
Oh, that's tough. Well, the Beach Boys, you know, it was a dream, obviously. When I was a kid, I dreamt of like meeting the Beach Boys, let alone playing with them. But it's lasted for like 35 years now. So I'd say that's the biggie. But being the voice of Graceland was pretty cool too. Over here, Elvis, you know, sat on this piano and he did this. Pretty cool. You know, I always think if I was going to write a book, it'd be called "If You Would Have Told Me." Like, if you would have told me I'd be playing with the Beach Boys, or if you would have told me I'd be on the Daily Blast Live.
John's good.
Yeah.
John's good.
Look how low John is in his chair. I feel like we all need to help him out and go low in our chairs.
All right, no problem. No problem. Oh, now he raised up.
You go low, I go high.
He just did it.
Okay.
Well, John, listen, the audience could already see we are identical twins. We look exactly alike. But I want to know if we are the same fathers, because I know you have a 2-year-old son, Billy. I have a 2 and a 4-year-old. But John, as a father, when my wife was pregnant, I started crying at commercials, movies, everything. I'm more emotional now than ever. Did you feel like the same thing with your son?
I've cried, and I'm not even making a joke. I've cried 4 times this morning during an interview. I swear. And I said to my press secretary, I said, "Do I cry to you?" And he says, "No, you cry at everything." Yes, I cry at commercials. Well, and this show, you know, first of all, he starts out as a coach and everything, and then I become a father. I'm a father, but my daughter moves in with me on episode 3, and I don't know how to be a father, and I learned, you know, throughout the episodes. And in episode 10, you'll relate to this maybe. He finally gets it. He says, "You know, I think being a parent it's not about the time you spend. I mean, it is the time or the money or the discipline or the boundaries, but it's about sacrifice. And it's about sacrificing your own needs for the good of your child. And if you do that right, if you don't get a ring and you don't get a trophy, but you get a kid who's loving enough and caring enough and smart enough to be a better version of you."
Let's go win a basketball game.
You know, this show really is breaking down stereotypes. It's okay to cry. And a guy like my character, releasing his assumptions of girls and women's sports, and then connecting with these girls, I think it's a new time right now, and it's fine to cry. The line is moving all the time. If we're not listening, then it's on us.
You play a high school coach, but take us back to your high school days. Were you a sports guy, theater kid, bad boy? And could high school you handle your tough coach character?
What's the opposite of a sports guy? My dad was into sports. I know nothing. Here, I went down to learn how to be a coach with Jerry West, and I called the day. I said, thanks for inviting me to the rehearsal. And he said, first of all, son, it's not called rehearsal, it's practice. So, I mean, that tells you. I was not, and in high school, I was a dorky, geeky band geek. I mean, the only thing I had connected to sports was them beating me up, the football players.
No.
I knew nothing about it. And my dad loved sports, but I loved spending time with him. He was a golfer. And so I took some lessons and I was so excited. I said, Dad, let's go play. And I went out and I sliced the ball and it went by this 90-year-old woman's temple, like my little, and I could have killed a woman. And my dad said, put that down. Don't ever do that again. And like, I think of myself in high school and I wish I could go back and go, it's gonna be okay. You're gonna get the girl. You won't have to stand in line at Disneyland. You know, you're gonna be okay.
Thank you, John, for stopping by DBL. Make sure to check out The Big Shot on Disney+. We love you, John.
We're best friends.
I want to go to Disneyland and not have to wait in line. We'll be right back.
Promotional consideration is brought to you by
A lot of viewer questions about Derek Chauvin's murder trial. Jean asks, is Chauvin incarcerated during his trial? Let's verify.
Our sources, court documents, and a legal expert. Police arrested Chauvin last May, 4 days after George Floyd's death. He spent 4 months in a Minnesota prison. But in October, court documents show he posted a $1 million bond and was released from custody.
But the judge ordered specific conditions, citing safety concerns.
Initially, Chauvin couldn't leave Minnesota. That's standard. But the judge changed that to allow Chauvin to live in any bordering state if he wants: Wisconsin, Iowa, or the Dakotas.
That is an unusual condition, and that's specifically because of presumed concerns about safety.
Rachel Moran is a professor at St. Thomas Law School in Minneapolis.
He previously had a house in Minnesota, and his address had been released. Many people knew about it. He couldn't go live there. So the idea is that he's living in an undisclosed location.
The court and law enforcement know where Chauvin's staying, but the judge ordered them to keep it confidential, except on a need-to-know basis. Chauvin is monitored by a conditional release officer with the Minnesota Department of Corrections, and the judge is ordering him to keep a cell phone on him at all times in case they call.
I think the reason for that is to compensate for the fact that they're allowing him to live out of state.
Plus, he has to surrender any passports.
That's fairly standard.
So we can verify, no, Derek Chauvin is not incarcerated during his trial. With your Verify, I'm Gabe Cohen.
Welcome back to DBL. We have to give a big DBL shout out to Hideki Matsuyama, who won the Masters this weekend at Augusta National. So he is the first Japanese golfer to win one of golf's major championships. But here's the really cool part. He flew in his green jacket, commercial, like Southwest or something. Look at, no big deal. Where's his green jacket though? I guess he took it off. Yeah, there he's holding it. What would you do, Jeff, if you saw him like holding it? And what a big deal right now, considering everything going on with, you know, anti-Asian hate, racism, and all of that.
First of all, I'm upset about this. Because I bet him all the time, and the one time I don't bet him, he wins the Masters. So he's a great golfer. I'm a fan. But they said this is such a big deal in Japan. They said he might even light like the Olympic torch.
He should.
That's how much of a big deal it is in Japan. So congratulations to him. But if I won that jacket, I mean, I would be wearing it every day on this show.
Of course
be on the
you
show.
would.
That's
we have a lot of comments, too. Let's start with the age of happiness. So Kasha says, when the kids go off to college. Jan says, I agree, have always wanted to stay 35. Oh, Ann says, today is my 55th birthday. Happy birthday, Ann. And every year since turning 40 has gotten better and better. About the older bit, I think I learned to appreciate how blessed I am and how to appreciate all my loved ones.
Yeah.
And it's an
You know
Ann
what
with
they
an
say?
E. Love her.
You know what they say? They say getting older is a privilege, and I think that's a real thing that I can't wait to get older, and it's a blessing.
Your 40th is coming up this year?
Next year.
Next year.
What, are you going to do anything special?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna.
No.
Right, you know. Yeah, no.
I never did anything for mine. You didn't really do much for yours either.
No.
You went to Vegas. Didn't you?
No.
Oh, I thought you
I stayed at home with Jordan.
did. I?
I'm like, it sounds great.
I thought your Vegas trip with Alan, my husband, was for your 40th.
No, I don't do it like that.
Oh, gotcha.
I don't do it like that.
If you're-
I'll go, though.
If you're leaving us, you can watch the second half of the show on Facebook or YouTube, chat with other viewers, leave your comments, and be a part of our DBL Nation. But if you are sticking around, here's what's coming up. It's the road to Oscar, the big BAFTA winners who took home some very prestigious awards. Plus, why did Prince Harry travel solo to be with his family after his grandfather's death? And a big thank you to our co-workers watching from home right now. DBL is new every day. We'll be right back.
This is Daily Blast Live. We're talking about what you're talking about. Real, honest, entertaining, live. DBL starts right now.
3, 2.
Thank you, Patty. Welcome to DBL. I am Sam, here with Jeff and Erica. Tori joins us from home. So the British, oh, hey, Tori. The British Academy of Film and Television Arts, or the BAFTA Awards, were held last night. Nomadland was the big winner, which won for Best Film. Chloe Zhao picked up the trophy for Best Director, making her the second woman ever to win that award. Meantime, Anthony Hopkins won Best Lead Actor for his film The Father, but was too busy painting to get on the Zoom call to pick up the award. As we get closer to the Oscars, comedian Bill Maher ranted about this year's depressing Best Picture nominees. Have a look.
Sound of Metal is about a musician going deaf. The Father is about an octogenarian descending into dementia. And Minari is the story of dirt-poor Korean immigrants in Arkansas who put all their food in a barn, but then Grandma has a stroke and burns it down. Now enjoy the show.
Do we feel like that Erica, that the choices this year that are, or the ones that are being nominated heavily, are more depressing films than usual? Is that a sign of the times given the pandemic?
You know, I think that we're kind of just seeing this being called out a little bit more. Merce Martin, the actress from Blackish, and she also has directed a bunch of films, including Big, or the remake of Big. She came out this weekend and said that she no longer wants to create projects that amplify Black pain. It will all be about Black excellence and joy. And she's 16 years old or something around that. And I really do think that these are being called out more by this generation. That's because our generation was very much told, like, do not forget. Always make sure that these stories are told and we remember how we got here. But there's this other generation that's coming up now that's like, we won't forget, but we also want to say this is the joy that came from the pain. So I think that people are just kind of calling those out a little bit more.
Interesting.
Yeah, I think it's a sign of the times. I think a lot more people are finding comfort with each other, like misery
enjoys company,
right? And I think that's where we are with social media. I think a lot of people get together and they find like-minded people that commiserate, and they like to tell their story of how they've been affected by whatever's happening to them, right? Instead of the classic old story of you go through the hard times, you get to the top of that mountain and you push through, right? Those stories, I think, hopefully aren't a thing of the past, but it seems like they are, and I hope we kind of get back to those.
Tori, considering that, you know, we've seen a fall in viewership with all of these award shows, do you think that this Oscars will be different?
Yeah, I just don't think the level of importance will be there, or the glamour, or I just think people are over it, to be super honest. And I think you made a really good point of, like, we all just went through a lot, and a lot of us don't have money to pay bills, and we don't want to see a ton of rich people in rich dresses win awards for themselves. Now, it's art. I appreciate awarding art, but I think at some point these awards, especially during the pandemic, have really just gone on and on and on. I'm over it a little bit, at least for myself, and I'm usually more into it.
Yeah, I feel you. Right in DBL Nation. We want to hear from you as well. So Prince Harry is back in London to attend his grandfather's funeral. Harry flew on a commercial flight without Meghan, who's pregnant. She stayed in California on doctor's orders. The Duke of Sussex released a statement about Prince Philip on his website, calling him a man of service and, quote, a master of the barbecue, legend of banter, and cheeky right till the end. Meanwhile, Prince William released a separate statement on Instagram where he mentioned Prince Philip's sense of adventure and his mischievous sense of humor. The funeral will be held on Saturday. Philip, who cared deeply about the environment, will reportedly be carried in a wool coffin by an electric Land Rover. I think that is absolutely, Tori, he is the example in every shape and form. Not only did he walk the walk when he was living, but now he wants to make sure, even, you know, from his grave, I'm sure he was very specific. He wanted to make sure that everything was environmentally sound and everything represented his beliefs staunchly.
Yeah, I think Prince Philip is, if nothing, consistent in the way that he always was for the Queen, as well as his beliefs. He also spent so much time in the Navy that, and he handed that title over to Harry, that he cared about the oceans and he cared about the environment, and it's rare to see that in the monarchy. So I hope that this death, which I'm so sorry for, brings some kind of peace and balm to the royals, because sometimes that can happen at funerals. You can really bond when you see what's lost, and I really hope Harry and William find peace.
I do too, but look how everyone's already nitpicking at Meghan. She's 6 months pregnant.
I know.
A lot of doctors are going to advise you not to travel amidst a pandemic, you know, a 10-hour flight.
Right. Yeah. Just added to the list of silliness that we're going to talk about Meghan Markle. I mean, first it was the bridesmaids dresses, and then it was making more workers work, and now she's not traveling during a pandemic
with a baby.
Already has another baby. She's 6 months pregnant, and there's major turmoil that has not only spilled up in the immediate family, but we all talking about it on one side of the pond or the other. Let the woman rest.
First of all, a lot of doctors are going to advise you not to take that long of a flight at 6 months pregnant because you're prone to getting blood clots and things like that. So they're not going to risk it. I don't understand why people are so quick. I mean, Jeff understands because you will always say that people on Twitter or Instagram will take every opportunity to slam someone and bring them down. And that's exactly what we're seeing right now with Meghan Markle.
Right. They get together and they commiserate, right? And make other people miserable because that's how they feel inside. I think it's comical, to be honest with you, because people are losing their minds that Meghan doesn't have to go back to see the royal family, quote unquote, face the music for whatever happened, right? This is so relatable to every family, but it is the best excuse so no one can say anything about it. That's what makes it comical. Like, of the timing of all timings, being pregnant or having kids is the best excuse for anything. I'm not making light of the funeral. I'm sorry what happened to Prince Philip, but the timing is so ironic and people are losing their minds from it. I love it.
It's true. I got to go home. My kids got to go to bed.
Sorry, I can't make it to your house. My kid's sick. Pretend like you're coughing.
Lawson cough. Louder, Lawson. Okay, so actress Justine Bateman is opening up about how she feels about plastic surgery. In her new book, Face, 1 Square Foot of Skin, she talks about being trolled online about her look. Someone even said that she looked, quote, horrible. In Vanity Fair, she calls plastic surgery a, quote, Ponzi scheme where women are never going to win because they are always chasing their tail, wanting to look better. She also said the same people who have criticized her for not having work done would have also called her out for getting plastic surgery. You're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. What do you make of this, Tori?
You know, what's interesting to me is Justine Bateman is famous for playing a teenager. So I think people's expectations of seeing her is that she'll never age because we all saw her, you know, in Family Ties when she was a teenager. So it's like hard for people to understand. Get over it, move on. If you like plastic surgery, enjoy. If you don't, enjoy. But everybody's got to let go of this like judgment over and shaming over it. People age, people move, wrinkles happen, things sag.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
But not to just jump on the same story repeatedly, but she's 100% right. The same people who criticize her for looking older are the same people that would criticize her for getting plastic surgery. It's just a never-ending rotation of misery, and people love it for some reason. It's insane to me.
Well, I think that people are looking for community. Sometimes that community comes in a different way. You know what I mean? Like, they are.
Yeah.
They are. It's like somebody looks at you and says, oh, you think like me. You're my people. People just looking for their people.
The pitchfork community?
Yeah, exactly. But I'm just saying, it's the truth. I mean, sometimes there's no other way to communicate. But I do think that we have gotten to a place, especially with the pandemic, where people have been a little bit more open and honest about who they are and how they look naturally. And I hope that that's something that people continue to embrace a little bit more, because I think that the surgeries and stuff became very preemptive and not even necessary. Because, you know, we've all seen some work where we're like, why'd you do that?
I know.
Oh,
I know.
God, yes.
And I think Justine has a really great point when it comes to, like, when you do one thing, you start to chase your tail. And I'll be honest, you know, I haven't had Botox in years, but back when I used to get Botox, I would constantly be chasing, like, other wrinkles that, like, wouldn't work out. And for me, I felt like I could never get it right. Ever get it right. So for me, it was best to just abandon it. Now, not to say I'm going to abandon it forever. But for right now, it's easier. And yeah, I just could never get it right.
See, I understand that. With my teeth, I've had my teeth done twice. So yeah, I have had things done. I mean, granted, I was told I wouldn't be able to chew steak, but I have done that, so I understand it.
And I got Botox, so let's not make this a male. Let's not make this a male-female thing. You know what I mean? It's cool.
Botox.
I'm telling you.
How do you feel with your Botox?
Cool.
How do you feel? You feel good?
Well, my wife kind of pushed me into it, but I do feel good. I do feel good. It was. I wanted to do it too. You know what I mean? For some reason, my mom's like, "Oh, you look good like that."
Aww.
Mom, what do you do? I'm your son. I should look good.
You look good either way. But the point
is
but the point is, when I asked you how do you feel, you said good.
I feel great.
That's all that should matter.
all that
If
matters.
someone feels good not having plastic surgery or Botox, cool. If someone feels good having plastic surgery and Botox, cool.
Why do people care so much about what other people do to? It's just, I'm taking crazy.
People like to
pills.
hate. People like to hate.
They sure do.
Okay, so that is a wrap, you guys, for the Friends reunion. The long-awaited reunion finally happened. It was supposed to air last spring, but the pandemic delayed it. Matthew Perry may have jumped the gun with news of the taping. On Friday, he posted and quickly deleted this behind-the-scenes photo where he talked about reuniting with his friends. On Sunday, the official Friends Instagram account confirmed the show had wrapped. So far, still no air date on HBO Max. I feel like that would be Tori. If we were to like one day have like a DBL reunion, like hopefully DBL lasts forever and ever and ever, but let's say like in 20 years we do a DBL reunion, Tori, you would totally, whatever like device is trending in 20 years, you would be the first to accidentally post something.
Yep.
You all think the same thing? Everybody thinks the same? Everyone?
Yeah, you
All
would
right, I'll
post
take
and
it.
Brandon would say it.
Oh, that's so true.
Yeah, it's between the two of you.
So true.
Between the two of you.
Tori, we got to get to this last
it'd be
story,
a big
okay?
mistake.
So, and I know that you love
Yeah.
dogs, but I'm curious how you feel about this one. A woman's post about a demonic chihuahua has gone viral. The woman has been trying for months to find Prancer a new home. Oh my goodness. The problem is that he comes with some issues. She describes him as, quote, a neurotic, man-hating, animal-hating, children-hating dog that looks like a gremlin. She went on to describe him as being 50% hate and 50% terrible, and a Chucky doll in a dog's body. She says he only bonds with women, so if you have a husband, don't bother applying unless you hate him. But she does say he's loyal and is only 2 years old, but will probably live to be 21 out of spite. I love him. I love him so much. His name is Prancer, everybody. Prancer.
Yeah, that was our Spike. No, seriously.
Yes.
Spike was, my husband's aunt, who was older, adopted Spike because he was a very temperamental dog and he would only respond to her, pretty much, an older woman. And when we would come over, Spike would bite us and he would bark the entire time. And she didn't know because she wouldn't put her hearing aids in, so it would just bark all day long. So when she passed away, my husband told her that we would take Spike. I was not 1,000,000% sure about it, but I'm like, if this is what you want, we're gonna do it. And it took a while, and he's like a totally different dog now. But when a dog's been traumatized, like Spike was abused, then there's a reason why they're acting that way. But I'm telling you,
And not
you can
abused
love
from
them
Anthony's
back.
aunt, and
no,
not
no, no.
abused, but
When
yes.
he was abused and she rescued him.
Yes.
But you can love them back. You can
Yes.
love them back to health.
Tori, this dog just needs a shot. This dog just needs to be loved.
Yeah, and I agree. There's a reason they don't like men. It's not just for no reason. There's a reason this little demon chihuahua doesn't like men. So find a really good lesbian couple, find a single woman, and let this dog live out the rest of its demonic life and happiness. You know what I'm saying?
Or don't feed it and let a man come over and feed it, and then he'll love you.
What do you mean?
What do you mean? Whoever feeds the dog, he's gonna like.
Oh, you mean whoever has the treats in the pocket?
There's drama.
No, get out of here. It's a racist dog.
It's
not
been
racist.
Sexist, whatever. Sorry.
Okay.
I guess there's a big difference. Sorry.
Yes, there is.
I forgot
There
what
is.
page I was on. I forgot what page I was on. It has male toxicity, this dog. Shame on him.
Coming up on DBL, there is a model who is absolutely beautiful inside and out, and why she's not letting her disability stop her dreams of success. That is later in Heart Threads. Plus, have you or someone you know lost their job during the pandemic? A career development expert joins us with ways to get back in the job market. And our coworkers, there they are, tuning in from home. We miss you all so much. Hey guys. Oh, okay. Hey Anthony. We'll be right back.
Closed captioning provided by
Our Verified team fact checks the things that you see swirling around on social media so that you know what's real and what's just rumor. We've seen dozens of posts on social media like this one, which appears to be a newscast graphic saying that there's a no scream policy on roller coasters, and a second line that reads, Disneyland enforcing policy. So let's verify, is there really a no scream policy at Disneyland because of COVID-19? Our sources are posted reopening guidelines from Disneyland, as well as the California Attractions and Park Association, or CAPA, which is a trade group that oversees a lot of the amusement industry in the state. Let's start with CAPA, which issued these reopening guidelines. These guidelines lay out a bunch of different ways that parks can stay safe when they reopen. That includes physical distancing and designated areas for eating. Those guidelines do not say anything about banning screaming on rides. The group even cleared this up on Twitter, saying in part, quote, these guidelines do not require parks to prohibit screaming. The Verify team also checked Disneyland's latest reopening guidelines, posted on their website, which again, say nothing about a no scream policy. So we can verify that no, Disneyland is not currently enforcing a no scream policy at their park. So when the park reopens on April 30th, rest assured you can do all the screaming that you want when you're on those rides. With your Verify, I'm Evan Kozlov.
Welcome back to DBL. Even though we're starting to round a corner in the pandemic, many people have been out of work since it began. So earlier, Tori spoke with author and career developer Ken Lindner, who gives advice on how to get back into the workforce. Take a look.
One of the major casualties of the coronavirus pandemic has been unemployment. Whether you're starting over or just starting out, it can be tough knowing where to begin. But career developer Ken Lindner has a breakdown for how to launch into your next endeavor, and it starts with 4 simple steps.
If you can take a job that you believe in, that you love, that makes you excited to go to work every day, and that takes advantage of your skill sets, not only will you be happy and fulfilled, but you'll in all likelihood, be hugely successful.
Many people who've had careers found themselves out of work this past year, but don't let that take the wind out of your sails. Ken calls this time a golden opportunity for a great professional reset.
Discover or rediscover what you really want from your job.
Step 2. Make a list of the things you love to do and the things you're good at, and don't be shy about it. These are your selling points and your assets. And in another list, dig deep into your contacts because you can make your address book work for you.
The third step, which is so important, is if you're 45 or 50 or 55 or 60, that means you have experience. And that means you also have made contacts. These are the people, because they are familiar with you, will be more likely to hire you or recommend you highly to someone who can hire you.
Know what else stands out to employers? When you've done your homework on the company, the position, and the expectations.
Have ideas that you can share with these people. If you are able to show them that you're a self-starter, you're proactive, this sends positive messages to a prospective employer. As you represent yourself, an employer is envisioning how you would represent the company.
For more on Ken Lindner and his secrets to stepping back into the workforce with your best foot forward, pick up a copy of Ken's book, Career Choreography. We'll be right back.
We all know that movement is like medicine, but getting
Families with kids could be getting thousands of dollars thanks to the massive stimulus bill passed in March. But how will the child tax credit work? Let's connect the dots. The stimulus bill expanded that credit for eligible families and could mean as much as $3,600 per qualified kid. But calculating how much you'll get is a little complicated. It depends on their age. Kids 5 and under qualify for the full $3,600, then $3,000 for kids ages 6 to 17, and $500 for an 18-year-old who's still a dependent. How much parents make matters too. If you're single, your adjusted gross income needs to be $75,000 or less to get the full amount. For joint filers, that limit is $150,000. If you make more, the amount you get per child decreases as your income rises. In order to get the payment, you need to file your 2020 taxes. And you won't get the payment in one lump sum. The money will be split between 2021 and 2022. According to CNET, this year's portion is expected to start going out in July and will be paid periodically. Right now, there's no set schedule.
Welcome back to DBL. Today's Heart Threads is all about spreading body positivity. Watch how one woman chose to embrace her uniqueness by modeling.
This aspiring model shows off her lymphatic condition with confidence. Mahogany Jeter has a condition called lymphedema in one leg. The incurable disease causes fluid to build up. Though the condition is not painful, she can feel the excessive weight from her larger leg.
It drains my energy, of course, because it's an extra 100 pounds.
Growing up, it was hard for Mahogany to love her body.
I've been through a very depressed state because you're a little kid and you have a bunch of grown adults staring at you.
But now that she's older, she's stopped caring what other people think. Mahogany started modeling to boost her confidence and inspire others who look different.
Once you start feeling how pretty you are, everyone else gets to realize it.
Wow, a true beauty inside and out. We'll be right back.
Promotional consideration is brought to you by
Getting a lot of viewer questions about Derek Chauvin's murder trial. Jean asks, is Chauvin incarcerated during his trial? Let's verify.
Our sources, court documents, and a legal expert. Police arrested Chauvin last May, 4 days after George Floyd's death. He spent 4 months in a Minnesota prison. But in October, court documents show he posted a $1 million bond and was released from custody.
But the judge ordered specific conditions, citing safety concerns.
Initially, Chauvin couldn't leave Minnesota. That's standard. But the judge changed that to allow Chauvin to live in any bordering state if he wants: Wisconsin, Iowa, or the Dakotas.
That is an unusual condition, and that's specifically because of presumed concerns about safety.
Rachel Moran is a professor at St. Thomas Law School in Minneapolis.
He previously had a house in Minnesota, and his address had been released. Many people knew about it. He couldn't go live there. So the idea is that he's living in an undisclosed location.
The court and law enforcement know where Chauvin's staying, but the judge ordered them to keep it confidential, except on a need-to-know basis. Chauvin is monitored by a conditional release officer with the Minnesota Department of Corrections, and the judge is ordering him to keep a cell phone on him at all times in case they call.
I think the reason for that is to compensate for the fact that they're allowing him to live out of state.
Plus, he has to surrender any passports.
That's fairly standard.
So we can verify, no, Derek Chauvin is not incarcerated during his trial. With your Verify, I'm Gabe Cohen.
Tomorrow on DBL, one of the brightest minds on Earth, astrophysicist Neil deGrasse Tyson is live. Do aliens exist? And what's really beyond the universe? He joins us live tomorrow on DBL.
We are all geeking out about tomorrow. Okay, so a lot of you have comments about aging. So Robin says, I could use everything lifted up. I picture it kind of like that scene in Men in Black with the bug alien played by James D'Onofrio. Betty says, it's your body, so if you can afford it, go for it. And Sue says, I'm all about aging naturally. I've earned each and every one of my wrinkles. Amen, Sue. Amen.
Wow, James D'Onofrio. That guy gets 2-point credit for pulling that one out.
I know, totally. But I get the whole like sagging thing. Like, man, after you breastfeed 2 kids, you're just not the same. You ain't.
Tell us about it.
I just did.
What else do we have to look forward to, Sam?
But you know what? They nourished 2 children. It's amazing. I wouldn't trade it for anything in the world. A quick goodbye to our coworkers who tuned in from home. We will see you all later. We miss you. Keep up the great work. DBL is new every day. We'll see you tomorrow, same time, same place. Bye, Tori.
Here's what we're talking about today on Daily Blast Live.
Unrest in the streets of Minneapolis after an officer-involved shooting, just as the prosecution prepares to rest its case in the Derek Chauvin trial. Could this latest death involving police impact the outcome? A woman who coughed on a cancer patient in a store gets 30 days in jail. DBL Nation, do you think this is a fair punishment? Prince Harry is back in the UK for Prince Philip's funeral without Meghan. Why did she stay behind? And John Stamos is on DBL today, talking about everything from his new show to dad life.
You go low, I go high.
Real, honest, entertaining, live. DBL starts right now.
3, 2. Welcome to DBL. It is Monday, April 12th. I'm Sam here with Jeff and Erica. Tori joins us from home. Let's get right to it because it was a scary situation in Georgia. Very early this morning, 3 police officers were shot during a high-speed chase. Officials confirmed the suspect is dead. Meantime, in Minneapolis, a 20-year-old man, Daunte Wright, was shot during a traffic stop and later died. This sparked protests and a confrontation with police. The National Guard has been called in. We're also now learning that the officer who fired the shot that killed Wright used the wrong weapon. She intended to use her taser, but pulled her gun instead. That's according to the police chief. Okay, Erica, does it matter that this was an accident?
No. No. What kind of, like, what's that supposed to do for the family that just lost someone senselessly for a traffic stop? I mean, are we not training our police officers well enough that in that moment, like, was her life in danger in that moment that she couldn't stop down to make that decision? And I'm not trying to act as though I understand what that decision is like, but I do want to act as though I hope that people who are in that position understand what that decision is like.
I am being told that she's a senior police officer, so that goes to your point even more. How are you, again, none of us are trying to Monday morning quarterback here, but knowing that a son's father died senselessly,
right,
that a child of someone died senselessly, like, what kind of training took place for her to, and she did call out taser, 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 so she apparently, according to her colleagues, believed she pulled out her taser, but a man is dead. If that was your son, if that was your father, if that was your brother, would those words matter? And let me read to you a statement, and then please chime in, Jeff. Brooklyn Center Police Chief Tim Gannon says, "We will get to the bottom of this. We will do all that is within our power to make sure that justice is done for Daunte Wright." Yeah, everything but bring him back to life. You can't bring him back to life.
Yeah, listen, this is, I don't know if whether it's an accident does matter or not, right? If it was an accident, then what? But you're right, the training needs to be there. We need to hold our police officers to a higher standard. I'm all for the police. I support the police department openly on the show. And I say we need to have training for them. As the years go on, just like you have to renew your driver's license, you need to renew that badge. You need to renew a license to have a gun. You need to renew. I can't speak for what it's like in the heat of the moment, whether to reach for my taser or gun. Who knows, unless you're in that position, what to reach for, right? But if you're trained, it's like clockwork. You know where everything is without thinking about it. So maybe it needs to go back to training on this one.
I just want to add this
Erica
point.
and Tori.
Okay, I'm sorry, Tori. I just want to add this point because I think that people think, well, I'm never going to be in this situation, like, or what did he do wrong? Keep in mind that if a police officer responds to your home, as I've had this happen, when the police came to my home, 6 police officers all had guns drawn. Every single one of them. I was holding, and I've said this before, like, I was holding a knife in my hand. I was so in such shock that I didn't even realize I was holding the knife. And at that point, like, that's a judgment call moment. I want people to have, like, cool heads and understand what that experience is going to be. Because at any point, something could have gone wrong. And I was very clear about everything, that I was a black woman and I was the homeowner, that the assailant was a white male. But when it came down to it, you don't know if a person is going to be in their right mind or not. And it's up to the professionals to do that. And that situation was handled as they swept the entire home flawlessly. So I do understand that when we're talking about having training and wanting to know that you can trust that, those are the things we want to be able to trust when you really need them in the moment. And that doesn't necessarily mean that you've done something to cause that situation.
Tori?
Yeah, first off, I want to say three things. One, something's got to be done about the Minneapolis Police Department. This is now Ferguson. We now have the Derek Chauvin, and now we have this. This is 10 miles away from the jury that's going into this. Something's deadly wrong within that organization. And number two, I'm no longer okay giving absolute okay authority to an organization that continually murders its citizens for no reason. The man had an air freshener problem. They were pulling him over for an air freshener. He was on the phone with his mother, and he said to his mom, to the cops, what am I getting arrested for? And they said, we'll tell you when you get out of the car. Well, if I were that man and I was a person of color 10 miles from the Derek Chauvin trial, I might not have felt that comfortable either, as we've seen. So I just want everybody to be clear. Something's terribly wrong within, and I mean it has to be done, taken apart and started again for the citizens to trust the Minneapolis Police Department.
Thank you, Tori. Now, just to clarify, I'm being told those are two different police departments, but however, within miles apart from one another. So I think your point is still well taken. A Florida woman is going to jail after she was caught on camera coughing on a fellow customer at a Pier 1 store last summer. Wow. It just so happens the woman she coughed on was being treated for a brain tumor. The coughing woman was sentenced to 30 days in jail, a $500 fine, and 6 months probation, along with a mental health evaluation and anger management. But the question is, does a jail sentence make sense for coughing on someone during a pandemic? Jeff?
Absolutely. What would my sentence be if I punched that woman in the face? Because that's exactly what she did. She assaulted somebody. If you spit on somebody, that's the same as me punching you in the face. But if a man does it to someone else, you're going to get a longer prison sentence, right? But if you do that to somebody, what, you get 30 days in jail and you have to go to whatever it is, anger management? No, you should be treated as that was an assault. I say throw the book at her.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think, we look at COVID, right? And it's a weapon. You could lose your life to COVID. You could end up hospitalized to COVID. You could be like my brother-in-law who's awaiting a double lung transplant as we speak in an ICU for 3 months now. Or you could be someone that's a long hauler. So you get COVID, you get mild symptoms, and then for months and months and months after, you battle with asthma or you battle with other conditions. So to purposefully cough in someone's face, to purposely go into a store without a mask when it is mandated for you to do so, not only illegal, not only egregious, but yeah, you better get, I was gonna say something I shouldn't, but you better go to jail. You better go to jail. Do I sound like I'm being too?
No, I was like, I mean,
okay.
Mic drop. What else are we supposed to say?
Okay, so
I'm good. I'm good on her being in jail. Real good. And I'd like to see some community service that has her making up some wrongs.
Or be around COVID patients.
She needs to go to the ER.
Yeah.
She needs to go to the ICU, and she needs to see not only those individual patients struggling, she needs to see how the families struggle. The way it impacts family members is absolutely excruciating. So I hope that part of her sentence is going to an ICU, protecting herself, but at the same time, learning how her cough puts not only one individual, or could possibly put one individual in a position to fight for their life, but an entire family waiting in limbo while their loved one is fighting for their life. Coming up on DBL, TV icon John Stamos. He's reliving his awkward teen years. There he is.
You can't say John Stamos angrily.
I know. I have to I'm trying to exhale as
it's understandable.
John Stamos is helping me.
Look into those eyes.
You think you look like him. That's why he's saying
no,
it, you guys.
I wish I did.
Well,
sorry.
Just wait for the interview.
Okay.
You'll see. There's a little bromance going on between Jeff and John. Plus, Prince Harry returns to England for his grandfather's funeral, but Meghan stayed behind. Was that a wise choice? We'll tell you all about it. And are certain age groups happier than others? The age when people are the happiest. Coming up next.
Closed captioning provided by
Our Verify team fact checks the things that you see swirling around on social media so that you know what's real and what's just rumor. We've seen dozens of posts on social media like this one, which appears to be a newscast graphic saying that there's a no scream policy on roller coasters, and a second line that reads, Disneyland enforcing policy. So let's verify, is there really a no scream policy at Disneyland because of COVID-19? Our sources are posted reopening guidelines from Disneyland, as well as the California Attractions and Park Association, or CAPA, which is a trade group that oversees a lot of the amusement industry in the state. Let's start with CAPA, which issued these reopening guidelines. These guidelines lay out a bunch of different ways that parks can stay safe when they reopen. That includes physical distancing and designated areas for eating. Those guidelines do not say anything about banning screaming on rides. The group even cleared this up on Twitter, saying in part, quote, these guidelines do not require parks to prohibit screaming. The Verify team also checked Disneyland's latest reopening guidelines, posted on their website, which again, say nothing about a no scream policy. So we can verify that no, Disneyland is not currently enforcing a no scream policy at their park. So when the park reopens on April 30th, rest assured you can do all the screaming that you want when you're on those rides. With your Verify, I'm Evan Kozlov.
Welcome back to DBL. Check out all of our co-workers at home during the pandemic. Keep up the great work, everybody. We miss you. Okay, so at what age do you think people are the happiest? We're going to go around the horn and guess, and then we're going to see if we're right. None of us know. So what do you think?
What age, like, oh,
What
wow.
age do you think is...
I was going to say for me personally.
No, just, okay, that can apply to you, but in general.
I would say 40.
Okay. All right, Erica?
I'm going to go with 50.
I'm going to go with 50 also. I don't mean to piggyback, but
No.
I think, yeah. And Tori, you're here, right? Tori?
Yeah, I would say 60. 60 and above.
Okay, so...
I think Carol Baskins went too high.
Because she's wearing leopard print? Okay, so according to a recent poll, the most popular answer is 36. That doesn't make sense. No way.
So who won, Sam?
Well, it depends if we're playing Price is Right. You did not win because you went over.
But if we're just saying closest to, who won?
Then you won.
Oh, I did?
But I'm going with the Price is Right rules, so you lost. That's the age when researchers say people have finally got their career, relationship, and life skills that they've been working so hard to get throughout their 20s. It's the age when people report feeling like they finally arrived. What? 36? You're supposed to have your career straight? No way.
I don't get this at all. I mean, 36 was the year that I started my comeback, so I did feel this like euphoria of being able to like achieve things.
Yep.
But I would say I'm going to be far happier when I'm 50.
Oh, me too. I'm all about 50. I'm ready for 50.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, the age I am, not to be cliche, I'm very happy at where I'm at and with my family and everything, so that's why I guess around 40.
I wonder who they asked, Tori, because guaranteed most people at 36 years old, they're still struggling to buy a home in this economy. Perhaps they have multiple jobs. Maybe they didn't want to have kids yet, or maybe they don't want to have kids at all. Like, I wonder who they polled.
I completely agree with you. And also, is it men and women or together? I assume the poll's all together, but drastically not what I felt. I am a late bloomer, and a lot of you wrote me after I last said this. I'm just learning to say no and create boundaries for myself right now. I know, I'll be super open about it. I'm 39. I'm a late bloomer. It's going to happen for me a little bit later in life. So for me to be comfortable in my skin with the right money and the right, setup, and for me to take a breath, I got to be in the 60s.
So Tori, do you want to come over and watch the kids later? Yeah.
And then after, come watch mine.
She's still having trouble saying no. You got to work on those boundaries, girl. That was a test, and you failed miserably. Coming up on DBL.
I just wanted a babysitter.
Coming up on DBL, actress Justine Bateman is speaking out about plastic surgery, why she calls it a Ponzi scheme. But first, TV star John Stamos, from Jammin' with the Beach Boys to fatherhood, this legendary entertainment icon is telling us all about it next.
Families with kids could be getting thousands of dollars thanks to the massive stimulus bill passed in March. But how will the child tax credit work? Let's connect the dots. The stimulus bill expanded that credit for eligible families and could mean as much as $3,600 per qualified kid. But calculating how much you'll get is a little complicated. It depends on their age. Kids 5 and under qualify for the full $3,600, then $3,000 for kids ages 6 to 17, and $500 for an 18-year-old who's still a dependent. How much parents make matters too. If you're single, your adjusted gross income needs to be $75,000 or less to get the full amount. For joint filers, that limit is $150,000. If you make more, the amount you get per child decreases as your income rises. In order to get the payment, you need to file your 2020 taxes, and you won't get the payment in one lump sum. The money will be split between 2021 and 2022. According to CNET, this year's portion is expected to start going out in July and will be paid periodically. Right now, there's no set schedule.
Welcome back to DBL. We call him Uncle Jesse, but in John Stamos' latest role, he goes by Coach. Earlier, John dropped by DBL to tell us all about it. Plus, we talk about his favorite career highlights. That is in today's Chatting with the Stars.
Marvin Court. Any advice?
These girls are going to lead the world someday.
Fall in.
Some of them can be a bit much.
I'm sorry, are you chewing gum?
This is Westbrook. We won't respond to my way or the highway.
That was the trailer for The Big Shot, a Disney Plus limited series. And joining us is the show star. Welcome, John Stamos.
Yes. Hello.
Hey.
You look beautiful. You sound great, and you look great.
Thank you very much, John Stamos. That means a lot.
We're like twins. He was talking to me.
No, he was talking to me, trust me. Okay, so we can't wait to talk to you about your new role. But first, we know you have a long, successful, very envious career. But there's two achievements that we think that our viewers are going to be surprised about. So we're curious, which one was the bigger highlight? Being the official voice on the Graceland tours or being the drummer for the Beach Boys?
Oh, that's tough. Well, the Beach Boys, you know, it was a dream, obviously. When I was a kid, I dreamt of like meeting the Beach Boys, let alone playing with them. But it's lasted for like 35 years now. So I'd say that's the biggie. But being the voice of Graceland was pretty cool too. Over here, Elvis, sat on this piano and he did this. Pretty cool. You know, I always think if I was going to write a book, it'd be called "If You Would Have Told Me." Like, if you would have told me I'd be playing with the Beach Boys, or if you would have told me I'd be on the Daily Blast Live.
John's good.
Yeah.
John's good.
Look how low John is in his chair. I feel like we all need to help him out and go low in our chairs.
All right, no problem. No problem. Oh, now he raised up.
You go low, I go high.
He just did it.
Okay.
Well, John, listen, the audience could already see we are identical twins. We look exactly alike. But I want to know if we are the same fathers, because I know you have a 2-year-old son, Billy. I have a 2 and a 4-year-old. But John, as a father, when my wife was pregnant, I started crying at commercials, movies, everything. I'm more emotional now than ever. Did you feel like the same thing with your son?
I've cried, and I'm not even making a joke. I've cried 4 times this morning during an interview. I swear. And I said to my press secretary, I said, do I cry to you? And he says, no, you cry at everything. Yes, I cry at commercials. Well, and this show, first of all, he starts out as a coach and everything, and then I become a father. I'm a father, but my daughter moves in with me on episode 3, and I don't know how to be a father, and I learned, throughout the episodes. And in episode 10, you'll relate to this maybe. He finally gets it. He says, I think being a parent it's not about the time you spend. It is the time or the money or the discipline or the boundaries, but it's about sacrifice. And it's about sacrificing your own needs for the good of your child. And if you do that right, if you don't get a ring and you don't get a trophy, but you get a kid who's loving enough and caring enough and smart enough to be a better version of you.
Let's go win a basketball game.
This show really is breaking down stereotypes. It's okay to cry. And a guy like my character, releasing his assumptions of girls and women's sports, and then connecting with these girls, I think it's a new time right now, and it's fine to cry. The line is moving all the time. If we're not listening, then it's on us.
You play a high school coach, but take us back to your high school days. Were you a sports guy, theater kid, bad boy? And could high school you handle your tough coach character?
What's the opposite of a sports guy? My dad was into sports. I know nothing. Here, I went down to learn how to be a coach with Jerry West, and I called the day. I said, thanks for inviting me to the rehearsal. And he said, first of all, son, it's not called rehearsal, it's practice. That tells you. I was not, and in high school, I was a dorky, geeky band geek. The only thing I had connected to sports was them beating me up, the football players.
No.
I knew nothing about it. And my dad loved sports, but I loved spending time with him. He was a golfer. And so I took some lessons and I was so excited. I said, Dad, let's go play. And I went out and I sliced the ball and it went by this 90-year-old woman's temple, like by little, and I could have killed a woman. And my dad said, put that down. Don't ever do that again. And I think of myself in high school and I wish I could go back and go, it's gonna be okay. You're gonna get the girl. You won't have to stand in line at Disneyland. You're gonna be okay.
Thank you, John, for stopping by DBL. Make sure to check out The Big Shot on Disney+. We love you, John.
We're best friends.
I want to go to Disneyland and not have to wait in line. We'll be right back.
Promotional consideration is brought to you by
A lot of viewer questions about Derek Chauvin's murder trial. Jean asks, is Chauvin incarcerated during his trial? Let's verify.
Our sources, court documents, and a legal expert. Police arrested Chauvin last May, 4 days after George Floyd's death. He spent 4 months in a Minnesota prison. But in October, court documents show he posted a $1 million bond and was released from custody.
But the judge ordered specific conditions, citing safety concerns.
Initially, Chauvin couldn't leave Minnesota. That's standard. But the judge changed that to allow Chauvin to live in any bordering state if he wants: Wisconsin, Iowa, or the Dakotas.
That is an unusual condition, and that's specifically because of presumed concerns about safety.
Rachel Moran is a professor at St. Thomas Law School in Minneapolis.
He previously had a house in Minnesota, and his address had been released. Many people knew about it. He couldn't go live there. So the idea is that he's living in an undisclosed location.
The court and law enforcement know where Chauvin's staying, but the judge ordered them to keep it confidential, except on a need-to-know basis. Chauvin is monitored by a conditional release officer with the Minnesota Department of Corrections, and the judge is ordering him to keep a cell phone on him at all times in case they call.
I think the reason for that is to compensate for the fact that they're allowing him to live out of state.
Plus, he has to surrender any passports.
That's fairly standard.
So we can verify, no, Derek Chauvin is not incarcerated during his trial. With your Verify, I'm Gabe Cohen.
Welcome back to DBL. We have to give a big DBL shout out to Hideki Matsuyama, who won the Masters this weekend at Augusta National. So he is the first Japanese golfer to win one of golf's major championships. But here's the really cool part. He flew in his green jacket, commercial, like Southwest or something. Look at, no big deal. Where's his green jacket though? I guess he took it off. Yeah, there he's holding it. What would you do, Jeff, if you saw him like holding it? And what a big deal right now, considering everything going on with, you know, anti-Asian hate, racism, and all of that.
First of all, I'm upset about this. Because I bet him all the time, and the one time I don't bet him, he wins the Masters. So he's a great golfer. I'm a fan. But they said this is such a big deal in Japan. They said he might even light like the Olympic torch.
He should.
That's how much of a big deal it is in Japan. So congratulations to him. But if I won that jacket, I mean, I would be wearing it every day on this show.
Of course
be on this
you
show.
would.
That's right.
We have a lot of comments, too. Let's start with the age of happiness. So Kasha says, when the kids go off to college. Jan says, I agree, have always wanted to stay 35. Oh, Ann says, today is my 55th birthday. Happy birthday, Ann. And every year since turning 40 has gotten better and better. About the older bit, I think I learned to appreciate how blessed I am and how to appreciate all my loved ones.
Yeah.
And it's an
You know
Ann
what
with
they
an
say?
E. Love her.
You know what they say? They say getting older is a privilege, and I think that's a real thing that I can't wait to get older, and it's a blessing.
Your 40th is coming up this year?
Next year.
Next year.
What, are you going to do anything special?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna.
No.
Right, you know. Yeah, no.
I never did anything for mine. You didn't really do much for yours either.
No.
You went to Vegas. Didn't you?
No.
Oh, I thought
I stayed at home with Jordan.
Did I?
I'm like, it sounds great.
I thought your Vegas trip with Alan, my husband, was for your 40th.
No, I don't do it like that.
Oh, gotcha.
I don't do it like that.
If you're-
I'll go, though.
If you're leaving us, you can watch the second half of the show on Facebook or YouTube, chat with other viewers, leave your comments, and be a part of our DBL Nation. But if you are sticking around, here's what's coming up. It's the road to Oscar, the big BAFTA winners who took home some very prestigious awards. Plus, why did Prince Harry travel solo to be with his family after his grandfather's death? And a big thank you to our co-workers watching from home right now. DBL is new every day. We'll be right back.
This is Daily Blast Live. We're talking about what you're talking about. Real, honest, entertaining, live. DBL starts right now.
3, 2. Thank you, Patty. Welcome to DBL. I am Sam, here with Jeff and Erica. Tori joins us from home. So the British, oh hey Tori, the British Academy of Film and Television Arts, or the BAFTA Awards, were held last night. Nomadland was the big winner, which won for Best Film. Chloe Zhao picked up the trophy for Best Director, making her the second woman ever to win that award. Meantime, Anthony Hopkins won Best Lead Actor for his film The Father, but was too busy painting to get on the Zoom call to pick up the award. As we get closer to the Oscars, comedian Bill Maher ranted about this year's depressing Best Picture nominees. Have a look.
Sound of Metal is about a musician going deaf. The Father is about an octogenarian descending into dementia. And Minari is the story of dirt-poor Korean immigrants in Arkansas who put all their food in a barn, but then Grandma has a stroke and burns it down. Now enjoy the show.
Do we feel like that Erica, that the choices this year that are, or the ones that are being nominated heavily, are more depressing films than usual? Is that a sign of the times given the pandemic?
You know, I think that we're kind of just seeing this being called out a little bit more. Merce Martin, the actress from Blackish, and she also has directed a bunch of films, including Big, or the remake of Big. She came out this weekend and said that she no longer wants to create projects that amplify Black pain. It will all be about Black excellence and joy. And she's 16 years old or something around that. And I really do think that these are being called out more by this generation. That's because our generation was very much told, like, do not forget. Always make sure that these stories are told and we remember how we got here. But there's this other generation that's coming up now that's like, we won't forget, but we also want to say this is the joy that came from the pain. So I think that people are just kind of calling those out a little bit more.
Interesting.
Yeah, I think it's a sign of the times. I think a lot more people are finding comfort with each other, like misery
enjoys company,
right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's where we are with social media. I think a lot of people get together and they find like-minded people that commiserate, and they like to tell their story of how they've been affected by whatever's happening to them, right? Instead of the classic old story of you go through the hard times, you get to the top of that mountain and you push through, right? Those stories, I think, hopefully aren't a thing of the past, but it seems like they are, and I hope we kind of get back to those.
Tori, considering that, you know, we've seen a fall in viewership with all of these award shows, do you think that this Oscars will be different?
Yeah, I just don't think the level of importance will be there, or the glamour, or I just think people are over it, to be super honest. And I think you made a really good point of, like, we all just went through a lot, and a lot of us don't have money to pay bills, and we don't want to see a ton of rich people in rich dresses win awards for themselves. Now, it's art. I appreciate awarding art, but I think at some point these awards, especially during the pandemic, have really just gone on and on and on. I'm over it a little bit, at least for myself, and I'm usually more into it.
Yeah, I feel you. Right in, DBL Nation. We want to hear from you as well. So Prince Harry is back in London to attend his grandfather's funeral. Harry flew on a commercial flight without Meghan, who's pregnant. She stayed in California on doctor's orders. The Duke of Sussex released a statement about Prince Philip on his website, calling him a man of service and, quote, a master of the barbecue, legend of banter, and cheeky right till the end. Meanwhile, Prince William released a separate statement on Instagram where he mentioned Prince Philip's sense of adventure and his mischievous sense of humor. The funeral will be held on Saturday. Philip, who cared deeply about the environment, will reportedly be carried in a wool coffin by an electric Land Rover. I think that is absolutely, Tori, he is the example in every shape and form. Not only did he walk the walk when he was living, but now he wants to make sure, even, you know, from his grave, I'm sure he was very specific. He wanted to make sure that everything was environmentally sound and everything represented his beliefs staunchly.
Yeah, I think Prince Philip is, if nothing, consistent in the way that he always was for the Queen, as well as his beliefs. He also spent so much time in the Navy that, and he handed that title over to Harry, that he cared about the oceans and he cared about the environment, and it's rare to see that in the monarchy. So I hope that this death, which I'm so sorry for, brings some kind of peace and balm to the royals, because sometimes that can happen at funerals. You can really bond when you see what's lost. And I really hope Harry and William find peace.
I do too, but look how everyone's already nitpicking at Meghan. She's 6 months pregnant.
I know.
A lot of doctors are going to advise you not to travel amidst a pandemic, you know, a 10-hour flight.
Right. Yeah. It's just added to the list of silliness that we're going to talk about Meghan Markle. I mean, first it was remember, it was the bridesmaids' dresses, and then it was making more workers work, and now she's not traveling during a pandemic
with a baby.
And already has another baby. She's 6 months pregnant, and there's major turmoil that has not only spilled up in the immediate family, but we all talking about it on one side of the pond or the other. Let the woman rest.
First of all, a lot of doctors are going to advise you not to take that long of a flight at 6 months pregnant because you're prone to getting blood clots and things like that. So they're not going to risk it. I don't understand why people are so quick. I mean, Jeff understands, because you will always say that people on Twitter or Instagram will take every opportunity to slam someone and bring them down. And that's exactly what we're seeing right now with Meghan Markle.
Right. They get together and they commiserate, right? And make other people miserable because that's how they feel inside. I think it's comical, to be honest with you, because people are losing their minds that Meghan doesn't have to go back to see the royal family, quote unquote, face the music for whatever happened, right? This is so relatable to every family, but it is the best excuse so no one can say anything about it. That's what makes it comical. Like, of the timing of all timings, being pregnant or having kids is the best excuse for anything. I'm not making light of the funeral. I'm sorry what happened to Prince Philip, but the timing is so ironic and people are losing their minds from it. I love it.
It's true. I got to go home. My kids got to go to bed.
Sorry, I can't make it to your house. My kid's sick. Pretend like you're coughing.
Lawson cough. Louder, Lawson. Okay, so actress Justine Bateman is opening up about how she feels about plastic surgery. In her new book, Face, 1 Square Foot of Skin, she talks about being trolled online about her look. Someone even said that she looked, quote, horrible. In Vanity Fair, she calls plastic surgery a, quote, Ponzi scheme where women are never going to win because they are always chasing their tail, wanting to look better. She also said the same people who have criticized her for not having work done would have also called her out for getting plastic surgery. You're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. What do you make of this, Tori?
You know, what's interesting to me is Justine Bateman is famous for playing a teenager. So I think people's expectations of seeing her is that she'll never age, because we all saw her, you know, in Family Ties when she was a teenager. So it's like hard for people to understand. Get over it, move on. If you like plastic surgery, enjoy. If you don't, enjoy. But everybody's got to let go of this like judgment over and shaming over it. People age, people move, wrinkles happen, things sag.
Oh yeah, yes.
But not to just jump on the same story repeatedly, but she's 100% right. The same people who criticize her for looking older are the same people that would criticize her for getting plastic surgery. It's just a never-ending rotation of misery, and people love it for some reason. It's insane to me.
Well, I think that people are looking for communities. Sometimes that community comes in a different way. You know what I mean? Like, they are.
Yeah.
They are. It's like somebody looks at you and says, oh, you think like me. You're my people. People are just looking for their people.
The pitchfork community?
Yeah, exactly. But I'm just saying, it's the truth. I mean, sometimes there's no other way to communicate. But I do think that we have gotten to a place, especially with the pandemic, where people have been a little bit more open and honest about who they are and how they look naturally. And I hope that that's something that people continue to embrace a little bit more, because I think that the surgeries and stuff became very preemptive and not even necessary. Because, you know, we've all seen some work where we're like, why'd you do that?
I know.
Oh,
I know.
God, yes.
And I think Justine has a really great point when it comes to, like, when you do one thing, you start to chase your tail. And I'll be honest, you know, I haven't had Botox in years, but back when I used to get Botox, I would constantly be chasing, like, other wrinkles that, like, wouldn't work out. And for me, I felt like I could never get it right. Ever get it right. So for me, it was best to just abandon it. Now, not to say I'm going to abandon it forever, but for right now, it's easier. And yeah, I just could never get it right.
See, I understand that. With my teeth, I've had my teeth done twice. So yeah, I have had things done. I mean, granted, I was told I wouldn't be able to chew steak, but I have done that, so I understand it.
And I got Botox, so let's not make this a male. Let's not make this a male-female thing. You know what I mean? It's cool.
Botox.
I'm telling you.
How do you feel with your Botox?
Cool.
How do you feel? You feel good?
Well, my wife kind of pushed me into it, but I do feel good. I do feel good. It was. I wanted to do it too. You know what I mean? For some reason, my mom's like, "Oh, you look good like that."
Aww.
Mom, what do you do? I'm your son. I should look good.
You
how
look good either way. But the point
But
the point is, when I asked you how do you feel, you said good. That's
feel great.
all that should
That's
matter.
all that
If
matters.
someone feels good not having plastic surgery or Botox, cool. If someone feels good having plastic surgery and Botox, cool.
Why do people care so much about what other people do to? It's just, I'm taking crazy.
People like to
pills.
hate. People like to hate.
They sure do.
Okay, so that is a wrap, you guys, for the Friends reunion. The long-awaited reunion finally happened. It was supposed to air last spring, but the pandemic delayed it. Matthew Perry may have jumped the gun with news of the taping. On Friday, he posted and quickly deleted this behind-the-scenes photo where he talked about reuniting with his friends. On Sunday, the official Friends Instagram account confirmed the show had wrapped. So far, still no air date on HBO Max. I feel like that would be Tori. If we were to like one day have like a DBL reunion, like hopefully DBL lasts forever and ever and ever, but let's say like in 20 years we do a DBL reunion, Tori, you would totally, whatever like device is trending in 20 years, you would be the first to accidentally post something.
Yep.
Y'all think the same thing? Everybody thinks the same? Everyone?
Yeah, you would post and Brandon would say it.
Oh, that's so true.
Yeah, it's between the two of you.
So true.
Between the two of you.
Tori, we got to get to this last story, okay? So, and I know that you love dogs, but I'm curious how you feel about this one. A woman's post about a demonic chihuahua has gone viral. The woman has been trying for months to find Prancer a new home. Oh my goodness. The problem is that he comes with some issues. She describes him as, quote, a neurotic, man-hating, animal-hating, children-hating dog that looks like a gremlin. She went on to describe him as being 50% hate and 50% terrible, and a Chucky doll in a dog's body. She says he only bonds with women, so if you have a husband, don't bother applying unless you hate him. But she does say he's loyal and is only 2 years old, but will probably live to be 21 out of spite. I love him. I love him so much. His name is Prancer, everybody. Prancer.
Yeah, that was our Spike. No, seriously.
Yes.
Spike was, my husband's aunt, who was older, adopted Spike because he was a very temperamental dog and he would only respond to her, pretty much, an older woman. And when we would come over, Spike would bite us and he would bark the entire time. And she didn't know because she wouldn't put her hearing aids in, so it would just bark all day long. So when she passed away, my husband told her that we would take Spike. I was not 1,000,000% sure about it, but I'm like, if this is what you want, we're gonna do it. And it took a while, and he's like a totally different dog now. But when a dog's been traumatized, like Spike was abused, then there's a reason why they're acting that way. But I'm telling you,
And not
you can
abused
love
from
them
Anthony's
back.
aunt, and
no,
not
no,
abused,
no.
but
When he was abused and she rescued him.
Yes.
But you can love them back. You can love them back to health.
Tori, this dog just needs a shot. This dog just needs to be loved.
Yeah, and I agree. There's a reason they don't like men. It's not just for no reason. There's a reason this little demon chihuahua doesn't like men. So find a really good lesbian couple, find a single woman, and let this dog live out the rest of its demonic life and happiness. You know what I'm saying?
Or don't feed it and let a man come over and feed it, and then he'll love you.
What do you mean?
What do you mean? Whoever feeds the dog, he's gonna like.
Oh, you mean whoever has the treats in the pocket?
There's drama.
No, get out of here. It's a racist dog.
It's not
racist.
Sexist, whatever, sorry.
Okay.
I guess there's a big difference. Sorry,
Yes,
I don't
there
know.
is.
I forgot
There
what
is.
page I was on. I forgot what page I was on. It has male toxicity, this dog. Shame on him.
Coming up on DBL, there is a model who is absolutely beautiful inside and out, and why she's not letting her disability stop her dreams of success. That is later in Heartthreads. Plus, have you or someone you know lost their job during the pandemic? A career development expert joins us with ways to get back in the job market. And our coworkers, there they are, tuning in from home. We miss you all so much. Hey guys. Oh, okay. Hey Anthony. We'll be right back.
Closed captioning provided by
Our Verify team fact checks the things that you see swirling around on social media so that you know what's real and what's just rumor. We've seen dozens of posts on social media like this one, which appears to be a newscast graphic saying that there's a no scream policy on roller coasters, and a second line that reads, Disneyland enforcing policy. So let's verify, is there really a no scream policy at Disneyland because of COVID-19? Our sources are posted reopening guidelines from Disneyland, as well as the California Attractions and Park Association, or CAPA, which is a trade group that oversees a lot of the amusement industry in the state. Let's start with CAPA, which issued these reopening guidelines. These guidelines lay out a bunch of different ways that parks can stay safe when they reopen. That includes physical distancing and designated areas for eating. Those guidelines do not say anything about banning screaming on rides. The group even cleared this up on Twitter, saying in part, quote, these guidelines do not require parks to prohibit screaming. The Verify team also checked Disneyland's latest reopening guidelines, posted on their website, which again, say nothing about a no scream policy. So we can verify that no, Disneyland is not currently enforcing a no scream policy at their park. So when the park reopens on April 30th, rest assured you can do all the screaming that you want when you're on those rides. With your Verify, I'm Evan Kozlov.
Welcome back to DBL. Even though we're starting to round a corner in the pandemic, many people have been out of work since it began. So earlier, Tori spoke with author and career developer Ken Lindner, who gives advice on how to get back into the workforce. Take a look.
One of the major casualties of the coronavirus pandemic has been unemployment. Whether you're starting over or just starting out, it can be tough knowing where to begin. But career developer Ken Lindner has a breakdown for how to launch into your next endeavor, and it starts with 4 simple steps.
If you can take a job that you believe in, that you love, that makes you excited to go to work every day, and that takes advantage of your skill sets, not only will you be happy and fulfilled, but you'll in all likelihood, be hugely successful.
Many people who've had careers found themselves out of work this past year, but don't let that take the wind out of your sails. Ken calls this time a golden opportunity for a great professional reset.
Discover or rediscover what you really want from your job.
Step 2. Make a list of the things you love to do and the things you're good at, and don't be shy about it. These are your selling points and your assets. And in another list, dig deep into your contacts because you can make your address book work for you.
The third step, which is so important, is if you're 45 or 50 or 55 or 60, that means you have experience. And that means you also have made contacts. These are the people, because they are familiar with you, will be more likely to hire you or recommend you highly to someone who can hire you.
Know what else stands out to employers? When you've done your homework on the company, the position, and the expectations.
Have ideas that you can share with these people. If you are able to show them that you're a self-starter, you're proactive, this sends positive messages to a prospective employer. As you represent yourself, an employer is envisioning how you would represent the company.
For more on Ken Lindner and his secrets to stepping back into the workforce with your best foot forward, pick up a copy of Ken's book, Career Choreography. We'll be right back.
Families with kids could be getting thousands of dollars thanks to the massive stimulus bill passed in March. But how will the child tax credit work? Let's connect the dots. The stimulus bill expanded that credit for eligible families and could mean as much as $3,600 per qualified kid. But calculating how much you'll get is a little complicated. It depends on their age. Kids 5 and under qualify for the full $3,600, then $3,000 for kids ages 6 to 17, and $500 for an 18-year-old who's still a dependent. How much parents make matters too. If you're single, your adjusted gross income needs to be $75,000 or less to get the full amount. For joint filers, that limit is $150,000. If you make more, the amount you get per child decreases as your income rises. In order to get the payment, you need to file your 2020 taxes, and you won't get the payment in one lump sum. The money will be split between 2021 and 2022. According to CNET, this year's portion is expected to start going out in July and will be paid periodically. Right now, there's no set schedule.
Welcome back to DBL. Today's Heart Threads is all about spreading body positivity. Watch how one woman chose to embrace her uniqueness by modeling.
This aspiring model shows off her lymphatic condition with confidence. Mahogany Jeter has a condition called lymphedema in one leg. The incurable disease causes fluid to build up. Though the condition is not painful, she can feel the excessive weight from her larger leg.
It drains my energy, of course, because it's an extra 100 pounds.
Growing up, it was hard for Mahogany to love her body.
I've been through a very depressed state because you're a little kid and you have a bunch of grown adults staring at you.
But now that she's older, she's stopped caring what other people think. Mahogany started modeling to boost her confidence and inspire others who look different.
Once you start feeling how pretty you are, everyone else gets to realize it.
Wow, a true beauty inside and out. We'll be right back.
Promotional consideration is brought to you by
Getting a lot of viewer questions about Derek Chauvin's murder trial. Jean asks, is Chauvin incarcerated during his trial? Let's verify.
Our sources, court documents, and a legal expert. Police arrested Chauvin last May, 4 days after George Floyd's death. He spent 4 months in a Minnesota prison. But in October, court documents show he posted a $1 million bond and was released from custody.
But the judge ordered specific conditions, citing safety concerns.
Initially, Chauvin couldn't leave Minnesota. That's standard. But the judge changed that to allow Chauvin to live in any bordering state if he wants: Wisconsin, Iowa, or the Dakotas.
That is an unusual condition, and that's specifically because of presumed concerns about safety.
Rachel Moran is a professor at St. Thomas Law School in Minneapolis.
He previously had a house in Minnesota, and his address had been released. Many people knew about it. He couldn't go live there. So the idea is that he's living in an undisclosed location.
The court and law enforcement know where Chauvin's staying, but the judge ordered them to keep it confidential, except on a need-to-know basis. Chauvin is monitored by a conditional release officer with the Minnesota Department of Corrections, and the judge is ordering him to keep a cell phone on him at all times in case they call.
I think the reason for that is to compensate for the fact that they're allowing him to live out of state.
Plus, he has to surrender any passports.
That's fairly standard.
So we can verify, no, Derek Chauvin is not incarcerated during his trial. With your Verify, I'm Gabe Cohen.
Tomorrow on DBL, one of the brightest minds on Earth, astrophysicist Neil deGrasse Tyson is live. Do aliens exist? And what's really beyond the universe? He joins us live tomorrow on DBL.
We are all geeking out about tomorrow. Okay, so a lot of you have comments about aging. So Robin says, I could use everything lifted up. I picture it kind of like that scene in Men in Black with the bug alien played by James D'Onofrio. Betty says, it's your body, so if you can afford it, go for it. And Sue says, I'm all about aging naturally. I've earned each and every one of my wrinkles. Amen, Sue. Amen.
Wow, James D'Onofrio. That guy gets 2-point credit for pulling that one out.
I know, totally. But I get the whole like sagging thing. Like, man, after you breastfeed 2 kids, you're just not the same. You ain't.
Tell us about it.
I just did.
What else do we have to look forward to, Sam?
But you know what? They nourished 2 children. It's amazing. I wouldn't trade it for anything in the world. A quick goodbye to our coworkers who tuned in from home. We will see you all later. We miss you. Keep up the great work. DBL's new every day. We'll see you tomorrow, same time, same place. Bye, Tori.
Talking about today on Daily Blast Live.
Unrest in the streets of Minneapolis after an officer-involved shooting, just as the prosecution prepares to rest its case in the Derek Chauvin trial. Could this latest death involving police impact the outcome? A woman who coughed on a cancer patient in a store gets 30 days in jail. DBL Nation, do you think this is a fair punishment? Prince Harry is back in the UK for Prince Philip's funeral without Meghan. Why did she stay behind? And John Stamos is on DBL today, talking about everything from his new show to dad life.
You go low, I go high.
Real, honest, entertaining, live. DBL starts right now.
3, 2. Welcome to DBL. It is Monday, April 12th. I'm Sam here with Jeff and Erica. Tori joins us from home. Let's get right to it because it was a scary situation in Georgia very early this morning. 3 police officers were shot during a high-speed chase. Officials confirmed the suspect is dead. Meantime, in Minneapolis, a 20-year-old man, Dante Wright, was shot during a traffic stop and later died. This sparked protests and a confrontation with police. The National Guard has been called in. We're also now learning that the officer who fired the shot that killed Wright used the wrong weapon. She intended to use her taser, but pulled her gun instead. That's according to the police chief. Okay, Erica, does it matter that this was an accident?
No. No. What kind of, like, what's that supposed to do for the family that just lost someone senselessly for a traffic stop? I mean, are we not training our police officers well enough that in that moment, like, was her life in danger in that moment that she couldn't stop down to make that decision? And I'm not trying to act as though I understand what that decision is like, but I do want to act as though I hope that people who are in that position understand what that decision is like.
I am being told that she's a senior police officer, so that goes to your point even more. How are you, again, none of us are trying to Monday morning quarterback here, but knowing that a son's father died senselessly,
right,
that a child of someone died senselessly, like, what kind of training took place for her to, and she did call out taser, 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 so she apparently, according to her colleagues, believed she pulled out her taser, but a man is dead. If that was your son, if that was your father, if that was your brother, would those words matter? And let me read to you a statement, and then please chime in, Jeff. Brooklyn Center Police Chief Tim Gannon says, "We will get to the bottom of this. We will do all that is within our power to make sure that justice is done for Dante Wright." Yeah, everything but bring him back to life. You can't bring him back to life.
Yeah, listen, I don't know whether it's an accident does matter or not, right? If it was an accident, then what? But you're right, the training needs to be there. We need to hold our police officers to a higher standard. I'm all for the police. I support the police department openly on this show. And I say we need to have training for them. As the years go on, just like you have to renew your driver's license, you need to renew that badge. You need to renew a license to have a gun. You need to renew. I can't speak for what it's like in the heat of the moment, whether to reach for my taser or gun. Who knows, unless you're in that position, what to reach for, right? But if you're trained, it's like clockwork. You know where everything is without thinking about it. So maybe it needs to go back to training on this one.
I just want to add this
Erica
point.
and Tori.
Okay, I'm sorry, Tori. I just want to add this point because I think that people think, well, I'm never going to be in this situation, like, or what did he do wrong? Keep in mind that if a police officer responds to your home, as I've had this happen, when the police came to my home, 6 police officers all had guns drawn. Every single one of them. I was holding, and I've said this before, like, I was holding a knife in my hand. I was so in such shock that I didn't even realize I was holding the knife. And at that point, like, that's a judgment call moment. I want people to have, like, cool heads and understand what that experience is going to be. Because at any point, something could have gone wrong. And I was very clear about everything, that I was a black woman and I was the homeowner, that the assailant was a white male. But when it came down to it, you don't know if a person is going to be in their right mind or not. And it's up to the professionals to do that. And that situation was handled as they swept the entire home flawlessly. So I do understand that when we're talking about having training and wanting to know that you can trust that, those are the things we want to be able to trust when you really need them in the moment. And that doesn't necessarily mean that you've done something to cause that situation.
Tori?
Yeah, first off, I want to say three things. One, something's got to be done about the Minneapolis Police Department. This is now Ferguson. We now have the Derek Chauvin, and now we have this. This is 10 miles away from the jury that's going into this. Something's deadly wrong within that organization. And number two, I'm no longer okay giving absolute okay authority to an organization that continually murders its citizens for no reason. The man had an air freshener problem. They were pulling him over for an air freshener. He was on the phone with his mother, and he said to his mom, to the cops, what am I getting arrested for? And they said, we'll tell you when you get out of the car. Well, if I were that man and I was a person of color 10 miles from the Derek Chauvin trial, I might not have felt that comfortable either, as we've seen. So I just want everybody to be clear. Something's terribly wrong within, and I mean it has to be done, taken apart and started again for the citizens to trust the Minneapolis Police Department.
Thank you, Tori. Now, just to clarify, I'm being told those are two different police departments, but however, within miles apart from one another. So I think your point is still well taken. A Florida woman is going to jail after she was caught on camera coughing on a fellow customer at a Pier 1 store last summer. Wow. It just so happens the woman she coughed on was being treated for a brain tumor. The coughing woman was sentenced to 30 days in jail, a $500 fine, and 6 months probation, along with a mental health evaluation and anger management. But the question is, does a jail sentence make sense for coughing on someone during a pandemic? Jeff?
Absolutely. What would my sentence be if I punched that woman in the face? Because that's exactly what she did. She assaulted somebody. If you spit on somebody, that's the same as me punching you in the face. But if a man does it to someone else, you're going to get a longer prison sentence, right? But if you do that to somebody, what, you get 30 days in jail and you have to go to whatever it is, anger management? No, you should be treated as that was an assault. I say throw the book at her.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think, we look at COVID, right, and it's a weapon. You could lose your life to COVID. You could end up hospitalized to COVID. You could be like my brother-in-law who's awaiting a double lung transplant as we speak in an ICU for 3 months now. Or you could be someone that's a long hauler. So you get COVID, you get mild symptoms, and then for months and months and months after, you battle with asthma or you battle with other conditions. So to purposefully cough in someone's face, to purposely go into a store without a mask when it is mandated for you to do so, not only illegal, not only egregious, but yeah, you better get, I was going to say something I shouldn't, but you better go to jail. You better go to jail. Do I sound like I'm being too?
No, I was like, I mean,
okay.
Mic drop. What else are we supposed to say?
Okay, so
like, I'm good. I'm good on her being in jail. Real good. And I'd like to see some community service that has her making up some wrongs.
Or be around COVID patients.
She needs to go to the ER.
Yeah.
She needs to go to the ICU, and she needs to see not only those individual patients struggling, she needs to see how the families struggle. The way it impacts family members is absolutely excruciating. So I hope that part of her sentence is going to an ICU, protecting herself, but at the same time learning how her cough puts not only one individual, or could possibly put one individual in a position to fight for their life, but an entire family waiting in limbo while their loved one is fighting for their life. Coming up on DBL, TV icon John Stamos. He's reliving his awkward teen years. There he is.
You can't say John Stamos angrily.
I know. I have to I'm trying to exhale as
it's understandable.
John Stamos is helping me.
Look into those eyes.
You think you look like him. That's why he's saying
no,
it, you guys.
wish I did.
Well,
Sorry.
Just wait for the interview.
Okay.
You'll see. There's a little bromance going on between Jeff and John. Plus, Prince Harry returns to England for his grandfather's funeral, but Meghan stayed behind. Was that a wise choice? We'll tell you all about it. And are certain age groups happier than others? The age when people are the happiest. Coming up next.
Closed captioning provided by...
Our Our Verify team fact checks the things that you see swirling around on social media so that you know what's real and what's just rumor. We've seen dozens of posts on social media like this one, which appears to be a newscast graphic saying that there's a no scream policy on roller coasters, and a second line that reads, Disneyland enforcing policy. So let's verify, is there really a no scream policy at Disneyland because of COVID-19? Our sources are posted reopening guidelines from Disneyland, as well as the California Attractions and Park Association, or CAPA, which is a trade group that oversees a lot of the amusement industry in the state. Let's start with CAPA, which issued these reopening guidelines. These guidelines lay out a bunch of different ways that parks can stay safe when they reopen. That includes physical distancing and designated areas for eating. Those guidelines do not say anything about banning screaming on rides. The group even cleared this up on Twitter, saying in part, quote, these guidelines do not require parks to prohibit screaming. The Verify team also checked Disneyland's latest reopening guidelines, posted on their website, which again say nothing about a no scream policy. So we can verify that no, Disneyland is not currently enforcing a no scream policy at their park. So when the park reopens on April 30th, rest assured you can do all the screaming that you want when you're on those rides. With your Verify, I'm Evan Kozlov.
Welcome back to DBL. Check out all of our co-workers at home during the pandemic. Keep up the great work, everybody. We miss you. Okay, so at what age do you think people are the happiest? We're going to go around the horn and guess, and then we're going to see if we're right. None of us know. So what do you think?
What age,
what age do you think is...
I was going to say for me personally.
No, just, okay, that could apply to you, but in general.
I would say 40.
Okay. All right, Erica?
I'm going to go with 50.
I'm going to go with 50 also. I don't mean to piggyback, but I think, yeah. And Tori, you're here, right? Tori?
Yeah, I would say 60. 60 and above.
Okay. So
I think Carol Baskins went too high.
Because she's wearing leopard print? Okay, so according to a recent poll, the most popular answer is 36. That doesn't make sense. No way.
So who won, Sam?
Well, it depends. If we're playing Price is Right, you did not win.
But if we're just saying closest to, who
then
won?
You won.
Oh, I did?
But I'm going with the Price is Right rules, so you lost. That's the age when researchers say people have finally got their career, relationship, and life skills that they've been working so hard to get throughout their 20s. It's the age when people report feeling like they finally arrived. What? 36? You're supposed to have your career straight? No way.
I don't get this at all. I mean, 36 was the year that I started my comeback, so I did feel this like euphoria of being able to like achieve things.
Yep.
But I would say I'm going to be far happier when I'm 50.
Oh, me too. I'm all about 50. I'm ready for 50.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, the age I am, not to be cliche, I'm very happy at where I'm at and with my family and everything, so that's why I guess around 40.
I wonder who they asked, Tori, because guaranteed most people at 36 years old, they're still struggling to buy a home in this economy. Perhaps they have multiple jobs. Maybe they didn't want to have kids yet, or maybe they don't want to have kids at all. Like, I wonder who they polled.
I completely agree with you. And also, is it men and women or together? I assume the poll is all together, but drastically not what I felt. I am a late bloomer, and a lot of you wrote me after I last said this. I'm just learning to say no and create boundaries for myself right now. I know, I'll be super open about it. I'm 39. I'm a late bloomer. It's gonna happen for me a little bit later in life. So for me to be comfortable in my skin with the right money and the right, setup, and for me to take a breath, I gotta be in the 60s.
So Tori, do you want to come over and watch the kids later?
Yeah.
And then after, come watch mine.
She's still having trouble saying no. You got to work on those boundaries, girl. That was a test, and you failed miserably. Coming up on DBL.
I just wanted a babysitter.
Coming up on DBL, actress Justine Bateman is speaking out about plastic surgery, why she calls it a Ponzi scheme. But first, TV star John Stamos, from Jammin' with the Beach Boys to fatherhood, this legendary entertainment icon is telling us all about it next.
Families with kids could be getting thousands of dollars thanks to the massive stimulus bill passed in March. But how will the child tax credit work? Let's connect the dots. The stimulus bill expanded that credit for eligible families and could mean as much as $3,600 per qualified kid. But calculating how much you'll get is a little complicated. It depends on their age. Kids 5 and under qualify for the full $3,600, then $3,000 for kids ages 6 to 17, and $500 for an 18-year-old who's still a dependent. How much parents make matters too. If you're single, your adjusted gross income needs to be $75,000 or less to get the full amount. For joint filers, that limit is $150,000. If you make more, the amount you get per child decreases as your income rises. In order to get the payment, you need to file your 2020 taxes, and you won't get the payment in one lump sum. The money will be split between 2021 and 2022. According to CNET, this year's portion is expected to start going out in July and will be paid periodically. Right now, there's no set schedule.
Welcome back to DBL. We call him Uncle Jesse, but in John Stamos' latest role, he goes by Coach. Earlier, John dropped by DBL to tell us all about it. Plus, we talk about his favorite career highlights. That is in today's Chatting with the Stars.
Marvin Court. Any advice?
These girls are going to lead the world someday.
All in?
Some of them can be a bit much.
I'm sorry, are you chewing gum?
This is Westbrook. We won't respond to My Way or the Highway.
That was the trailer for The Big Shot, a Disney Plus limited series. And joining us is the show star. Welcome, John Stamos.
Yes. Hello.
Hey.
You look beautiful. You sound great, and you look great.
Thank you very much, John Stamos. That means a lot.
We're like twins. He was talking to me.
No, he was talking to me, trust me. Okay, so we can't wait to talk to you about your new role. But first, we know you have a long, successful, very envious career. But there's two achievements that we think that our viewers are going to be surprised about. So we're curious, which one was the bigger highlight, being the official voice on the Graceland tours or being the drummer for the Beach Boys?
Oh, that's tough. Well, the Beach Boys, that's been it was a dream, obviously. When I was a kid, I dreamt of meeting the Beach Boys, let alone playing with them. But it's lasted for 35 years now. So I'd say that's the biggie. But being the voice at Graceland was pretty cool too. Over here, Elvis, sat on this piano and he did this. Pretty cool. I always think if I was going to write a book, it'd be called "If You Would Have Told Me." Like, if you would have told me I'd be playing with the Beach Boys, or if you would have told me I'd be on the Daily Blast Live.
John's good.
Yeah.
John's good.
Look how low John is in his chair. I feel like we all need to help him out and go low in our chairs.
All right, no problem. No problem. Oh, now he raised up.
You go low, I go high.
He just did it.
Okay.
Well, John, listen, the audience could already see we are identical twins. We look exactly alike. But I want to know if we are the same fathers, because I know you have a 2-year-old son, Billy. I have a 2 and a 4-year-old. But John, as a father, when my wife was pregnant, I started crying at commercials, movies, everything. I'm more emotional now than ever. Did you feel like the same thing with your son?
I've cried, and I'm not even making a joke. I've cried 4 times this morning during an interview. I swear, and I said to my press secretary, I said, do I cry to you? And he says, no, you cry at everything. Yes, I cry at commercials. Well, and this show, first of all, he starts out as a coach and everything, and then I become a father. I'm a father, but my daughter moves in with me on episode 3, and I don't know how to be a father, and I learned, throughout the episodes. And in episode 10, you'll relate to this maybe. He finally gets it. He says, I think being a parent it's not about the time you spend. It is the time or the money or the discipline or the boundaries, but it's about sacrifice. And it's about sacrificing your own needs for the good of your child. And if you do that right, if you don't get a ring and you don't get a trophy, but you get a kid who's loving enough and caring enough and smart enough to be a better version of you.
Let's go win a basketball game.
This show really is breaking down stereotypes. It's okay to cry. And a guy like my character releasing his assumptions of girls and women's sports and then connecting with these girls, I think it's a new time right now, and it's fine to cry. The line is moving all the time. If we're not listening, then it's on us.
You play a high school coach, but take us back to your high school days. Were you a sports guy, theater kid, bad boy? And could high school you handle your tough coach character?
What's the opposite of a sports guy? My dad was into sports. I know nothing. Here, I went down to learn how to be a coach with Jerry West, and I called the day. I said, thanks for inviting me to the rehearsal. And he said, first of all, son, it's not called rehearsal, it's practice. So, that tells you. I was not, and in high school, I was a dorky, geeky band geek. The only thing I had connected to sports was them beating me up, the football players.
No.
I knew nothing about it. And my dad loved sports, but I loved spending time with him. He was a golfer. And so I took some lessons, and I was so excited. I said, Dad, let's go play. And I went out and I sliced the ball, and it went by this 90-year-old woman's temple, like by little, and I could have killed a woman. And my dad said, put that down. Don't ever do that again. And I think of myself in high school, and I wish I could go back and go, it's gonna be okay. You're gonna get the girl. You won't have to stand in line at Disneyland. You're gonna be okay.
Thank you, John, for stopping by DBL. Make sure to check out The Big Shot on Disney+. We love you, John.
We're best friends.
I want to go to Disneyland and not have to wait in line. We'll be right back.
Promotional consideration is brought to you by
A lot of viewer questions about Derek Chauvin's murder trial. Jean asks, is Chauvin incarcerated during his trial? Let's verify.
Our sources, court documents, and a legal expert. Police arrested Chauvin last May, 4 days after George Floyd's death. He spent 4 months in a Minnesota prison. But in October, court documents show he posted a $1 million bond and was released from custody.
But the judge ordered specific conditions, citing safety concerns.
Initially, Chauvin couldn't leave Minnesota. That's standard. But the judge changed that to allow Chauvin to live in any bordering state if he wants: Wisconsin, Iowa, or the Dakotas.
That is an unusual condition, and that's specifically because of presumed concerns about safety.
Rachel Moran is a professor at St. Thomas Law School in Minneapolis.
He previously had a house in Minnesota, and his address had been released. Many people knew about it. He couldn't go live there. So the idea is that he's living in an undisclosed location.
The court and law enforcement know where Chauvin's staying, but the judge ordered them to keep it confidential, except on a need-to-know basis. Chauvin is monitored by a conditional release officer with the Minnesota Department of Corrections, and the judge is ordering him to keep a cell phone on him at all times in case they call.
I think the reason for that is to compensate for the fact that they're allowing him to live out of state.
Plus, he has to surrender any passports.
That's fairly standard.
So we can verify, no, Derek Chauvin is not incarcerated during his trial. With your Verify, I'm Gabe Cohen.
Welcome back to DBL. We have to give a big DBL shout out to Hideki Matsuyama, who won the Masters this weekend at Augusta National. So he is the first Japanese golfer to win one of golf's major championships. But here's the really cool part. He flew in his green jacket, commercial, like Southwest or something. Look at, no big deal. Where's his green jacket though? I guess he took it off. Yeah, there he's holding it. What would you do, Jeff, if you saw him like holding it? And what a big deal right now, considering everything going on with, you know, anti-Asian hate, racism, and all of that.
First of all, I'm upset about this. Because I bet him all the time, and the one time I don't bet him, he wins the Masters. So he's a great golfer. I'm a fan. But they said this is such a big deal in Japan. They said he might even light like the Olympic torch.
He should.
That's how much of a big deal it is in Japan. So congratulations to him. But if I won that jacket, I mean, I would be wearing it every day on this show.
Of course you would.
That's right.
We have a lot of comments, too. Let's start with the age of happiness. So Kasha says, when the kids go off to college. Jan says, I agree, have always wanted to stay 35. Oh, Ann says, today is my 55th birthday. Happy birthday, Ann. And every year since turning 40 has gotten better and better. About the older bit, I think I learned to appreciate how blessed I am and how to appreciate all my loved ones.
Yeah.
Innocent
You know
Ann
what
with an
they
E.
say?
Love her.
You know what they say? They say getting older is a privilege, and I think that's a real thing that I can't wait to get older, and it's a blessing.
Your 40th is coming up this year?
Next year.
Next year.
What, are you going to do anything special?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna.
No.
Right, you know. Yeah, no.
I never did anything for mine. You didn't really do much for yours either.
No.
You went to Vegas. Didn't you?
No.
Oh, I thought
I stayed at home with Jordan.
Did I?
I'm like, it sounds great.
I thought your Vegas trip with Alan, my husband, was for your 40th.
No, I don't do it like that.
Oh, gotcha.
I don't do it like that.
If
I'll go, though.
If you're leaving us, you can watch the second half of the show on Facebook or YouTube, chat with other viewers, leave your comments, and be a part of our DBL Nation. But if you are sticking around, here's what's coming up. It's the road to Oscar, the big BAFTA winners who took home some very prestigious awards. Plus, why did Prince Harry travel solo to be with his family after his grandfather's death? And a big thank you to our co-workers watching from home right now. DBL is new every day. We'll be right back.
This is Daily Blast Live. We're talking about what you're talking about. Real, honest, entertaining, live. DBL starts right now.
3, 2. Thank you, Patty. Welcome to DBL. I am Sam, here with Jeff and Erica. Tori joins us from home. So the British, oh hey Tori, the British Academy of Film and Television Arts, or the BAFTA Awards, were held last night. Nomadland was the big winner, which won for Best Film. Chloe Zhao picked up the trophy for Best Director, making her the second woman ever to win that award. Meantime, Anthony Hopkins won Best Lead Actor for his film The Father, but was too busy painting to get on the Zoom call to pick up the award. As we get closer to the Oscars, comedian Bill Maher ranted about this year's depressing Best Picture nominees. Have a look.
Sound of Metal is about a musician going deaf. The Father is about an octogenarian descending into dementia. And Minari is the story of dirt-poor Korean immigrants in Arkansas who put all their food in a barn, but then Grandma has a stroke and burns it down. Now enjoy the show.
Do we feel like that Erica, that the choices this year that are, or the ones that are being nominated heavily, are more depressing films than usual? Is that a sign of the times given the pandemic?
You know, I think that we're kind of just seeing this being called out a little bit more. Merce Martin, the actress from Blackish, and she also has directed a bunch of films, including Big, or the remake of Big. She came out this weekend and said that she no longer wants to create projects that amplify Black pain. It will all be about Black excellence and joy. And she's 16 years old or something around that. And I really do think that these are being called out more by this generation. That's because our generation was very much told, like, do not forget. Always make sure that these stories are told and we remember how we got here. But there's this other generation that's coming up now that's like, we won't forget, but we also want to say this is the joy that came from the pain. So I think that people are just kind of calling those out a little bit more.
Interesting.
Yeah, I think it's a sign of the times. I think a lot more people are finding comfort with each other, like misery
enjoys company,
right? And I think that's where we are with social media. I think a lot of people get together and they find like-minded people that commiserate, and they like to tell their story of how they've been affected by whatever's happening to them, right? Instead of the classic old story of you go through the hard times, you get to the top of that mountain and you push through, right? Those stories, I think, hopefully aren't a thing of the past, but it seems like they are, and I hope we kind of get back to those.
Tori, considering that, you know, we've seen a fall in viewership with all of these award shows, do you think that this Oscars will be different?
Yeah, I just don't think the level of importance will be there, or the glamour, or I just think people are over it, to be super honest. And I think you made a really good point of, like, we all just went through a lot, and a lot of us don't have money to pay bills, and we don't want to see a ton of rich people in rich dresses win awards for themselves. Now, it's art. I appreciate awarding art, but I think at some point these awards, especially during the pandemic, have really just gone on and on and on. I'm over it a little bit, at least for myself, and I'm usually more into it.
Yeah, I feel you. Right in, DBL Nation. We want to hear from you as well. So Prince Harry is back in London to attend his grandfather's funeral. Harry flew on a commercial flight without Meghan, who's pregnant. She stayed in California on doctor's orders. The Duke of Sussex released a statement about Prince Philip on his website, calling him a man of service and, quote, a master of the barbecue, legend of banter, and cheeky right till the end. Meanwhile, Prince William released a separate statement on Instagram where he mentioned Prince Philip's sense of adventure and his mischievous sense of humor. The funeral will be held on Saturday. Philip, who cared deeply about the environment, will reportedly be carried in a wool coffin by an electric Land Rover. I think that is absolutely, Tori, he is the example in every shape and form. Not only did he walk the walk when he was living, but now he wants to make sure, even, you know, from his grave, I'm sure he was very specific. He wanted to make sure that everything was environmentally sound and everything represented his beliefs staunchly.
Yeah, I think Prince Philip is, if nothing, consistent in the way that he always was for the Queen, as well as his beliefs. He also spent so much time in the Navy that, and he handed that title over to Harry, that he cared about the oceans and he cared about the environment, and it's rare to see that in the monarchy. So I hope that this death, which I'm so sorry for, brings some kind of peace and balm to the royals, because sometimes that can happen at funerals. You can really bond when you see what's lost. And I really hope Harry and William find peace.
I do too, but look how everyone's already nitpicking at Meghan. She's 6 months pregnant.
I know.
A lot of doctors are going to advise you not to travel amidst a pandemic, you know, a 10-hour flight.
Right. Yeah. It's just added to the list of silliness that we're going to talk about Meghan Markle. I mean, first it was remember, it was the bridesmaids' dresses, and then it was making more workers work, and now she's not traveling during a pandemic
with a baby.
Already has another baby. She's 6 months pregnant, and there's major turmoil that has not only spilled up in the immediate family, but we all talking about it on one side of the pond or the other. Let the woman rest.
First of all, a lot of doctors are going to advise you not to take that long of a flight at 6 months pregnant because you're prone to getting blood clots and things like that. So they're not going to risk it. I don't understand why people are so quick. I mean, Jeff understands, because you will always say that people on Twitter or Instagram will take every opportunity to slam someone and bring them down. And that's exactly what we're seeing right now with Meghan Markle.
Right. They get together and they commiserate, right? And make other people miserable because that's how they feel inside. I think it's comical, to be honest with you, because people are losing their minds that Meghan doesn't have to go back to see the royal family, quote unquote, face the music for whatever happened, right? This is so relatable to every family, but it is the best excuse, so no one can say anything about it. That's what makes it comical. Like, of the timing of all timings, being pregnant or having kids is the best excuse for anything.
For sure.
I'm not making light of the funeral. I'm sorry what happened to Prince Philip, but the timing is so ironic and people are losing their minds from it. I love it.
It's true. I got to go home. My kids got to go to bed.
Sorry, I can't make it to your house. My kid's sick. Pretend like you're coughing.
Lawson cough. Louder, Lawson. Okay, so actress Justine Bateman is opening up about how she feels about plastic surgery. In her new book, Face, 1 Square Foot of Skin, she talks about being trolled online about her look. Someone even said that she looked, quote, horrible. In Vanity Fair, she calls plastic surgery a, quote, Ponzi scheme where women are never going to win because they are always chasing their tail, wanting to look better. She also said the same people who have criticized her for not having work done would have also called her out for getting plastic surgery. You're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. What do you make of this, Tori?
You know, what's interesting to me is Justine Bateman is famous for playing a teenager. So I think people's expectations of seeing her is that she'll never age, because we all saw her, you know, in Family Ties when she was a teenager. So it's like hard for people to understand. Get over it, move on. If you like plastic surgery, enjoy. If you don't, enjoy. But everybody's got to let go of this like judgment over and shaming over it. People age, people move, wrinkles happen, things sag.
Oh yeah, yes.
But not to just jump on the same story repeatedly, but she's 100% right. The same people who criticize her for looking older are the same people that would criticize her for getting plastic surgery. It's just a never-ending rotation of misery, and people love it for some reason. It's insane to me.
Well, I think that people are looking for community. Sometimes that community comes in a different way. You know what I mean? Like, they are.
Yeah.
They are. It's like somebody looks at you and says, oh, you think like me. You're my people. People are just looking for their people.
The pitchfork community?
Yeah, exactly. But I'm just saying, it's the truth. I mean, sometimes there's no other way to communicate. But I do think that we have gotten to a place, especially with the pandemic, where people have been a little bit more open and honest about who they are and how they look naturally. And I hope that that's something that people continue to embrace a little bit more, because I think that the surgeries and stuff became very preemptive and not even necessary. Because, you know, we've all seen some work where we're like, why'd you do that?
I know.
Oh,
I know.
God, yeah.
And I think Justine has a really great point when it comes to, like, when you do one thing, you start to chase your tail. And I'll be honest, you know, I haven't had Botox in years, but back when I used to get Botox, I would constantly be chasing, like, other wrinkles that, like, wouldn't work out. And for me, I felt like I could never get it right. Ever get it right. So for me, it was best to just abandon it. Now, not to say I'm going to abandon it forever, but for right now, it's easier. And yeah, I just could never get it right.
See, I understand that. With my teeth, I've had my teeth done twice. So yeah, I have had things done. I mean, granted, I was told I wouldn't be able to chew steak, but I have done that, so I understand it.
And I got Botox, so let's not make this a male.
Botox.
Let's not make this a male-female thing. You know what I mean? It's cool.
Botox.
I'm telling you.
How do you feel with
it's
your Botox?
Cool.
How do you feel? You feel good?
Well, my wife kind of pushed me into it, but I do feel good. I do feel good. It was. I wanted to do it too. You know what I mean? For some reason, my mom's like, "Oh, you look good like that."
Aww.
Mom, what do you think? I'm your son. I should look good.
You
how
look good
painted
either
me.
way. But the point but the point is, when I asked you how do you feel, you said good. That's
feel great.
all that should
That's
matter.
all that
If
matters.
someone feels good not having plastic surgery or Botox, cool. If someone feels good having plastic surgery and Botox, cool.
Why do people care so much about what other people do to? It's just, I'm taking crazy.
People like to
pills.
hate. People like to hate.
They sure do.
Okay, so that is a wrap, you guys, for the Friends reunion. The long-awaited reunion finally happened. It was supposed to air last spring, but the pandemic delayed it. Matthew Perry may have jumped the gun with news of the taping. On Friday, he posted and quickly deleted this behind-the-scenes photo where he talked about reuniting with his friends. On Sunday, the official Friends Instagram account confirmed the show had wrapped. So far, still no air date on HBO Max. I feel like that would be Tori. If we were to like one day have like a DBL reunion, like hopefully DBL lasts forever and ever and ever, but let's say like in 20 years we do a DBL reunion, Tori, you would totally, whatever like device is trending in 20 years, you would be the first to accidentally post something.
Yep.
You all think the same thing? Everybody
Yes.
thinks the same? Everyone?
Yeah, you
All
would
right, I'll
post
take
and
it.
Brandon would say it.
Oh, that's so true.
Yeah, it's between the two of you.
So true.
Between the two of you.
Tori, we got to get to this
Yeah,
last
it'd be
story,
a big
okay?
mistake.
So, and I know that you love dogs, but I'm curious how you feel about this one. A woman's post about a demonic chihuahua has gone viral. The woman has been trying for months to find Prancer a new home. Oh my goodness. The problem is that he comes with some issues. She describes him as, quote, a neurotic, man-hating, animal-hating, children-hating dog that looks like a gremlin. She went on to describe him as being 50% hate and 50% terrible, and a Chucky doll in a dog's body. She says he only bonds with women, so if you have a husband, don't bother applying unless you hate him. But she does say he's loyal and is only 2 years old, but will probably live to be 21 out of spite. I love him. I love him so much. His name is Prancer, everybody. Prancer.
Yeah, that was our Spike. No, seriously.
Yes.
Spike was, my husband's aunt, who was older, adopted Spike because he was a very temperamental dog and he would only respond to her, pretty much, an older woman. And when we would come over, Spike would bite us and he would bark the entire time. And she didn't know because she wouldn't put her hearing aids in, so it would just bark all day long. So when she passed away, my husband told her that we would take Spike. I was not 1,000,000% sure about it, but I'm like, if this is what you want, we're gonna do it. And it took a while, and he's like a totally different dog now. But when a dog's been traumatized, like Spike was abused, then there's a reason why they're acting that way. But I'm telling you,
And not
you can
abused
love
from
them
Anthony's
back.
aunt, and
no,
not
no,
abused-
no.
but
When
yes.
he was abused and she rescued him.
Yes.
But you can love them back. You can
Yes.
love them back to health.
Tori, this dog just needs a shot. This dog just needs to be loved.
Yeah, and I agree. There's a reason they don't like men. It's not just for no reason. There's a reason this little demon chihuahua doesn't like men. So find a really good lesbian couple, find a single woman, and let this dog live out the rest of its demonic life and happiness. You know what I'm saying?
Or don't feed it and let a man come over and feed it, and then he'll love you.
What do you mean?
What do you mean? Whoever feeds the dog, he's gonna like.
Oh, you mean whoever has the treats in the pocket?
there's drama.
No, get out of here. It's a racist dog.
It's
not
too
racist.
Sexist, whatever. Sorry.
Okay.
I guess there's a big difference. Sorry.
Yes,
I don't
there
know.
is.
I forgot
There
what
is.
page I was on. I forgot what page I was on. It has male toxicity, this dog. Shame on him.
Coming up on DBL, there is a model who is absolutely beautiful inside and out, and why she's not letting her disability stop her dreams of success. That is later in Heart Threads. Plus, have you or someone you know lost their job during the pandemic? A career development expert joins us with ways to get back in the job market. And our coworkers, there they are, tuning in from home. We miss you all so much. Hey guys. Oh, okay. Hey Anthony. We'll be right back.
Closed captioning provided by
Our Verify team fact checks the things that you see swirling around on social media so that you know what's real and what's just rumor. We've seen dozens of posts on social media like this one, which appears to be a newscast graphic saying that there's a no scream policy on roller coasters, and a second line that reads, Disneyland enforcing policy. So let's verify, is there really a no scream policy at Disneyland because of COVID-19? Our sources are posted reopening guidelines from Disneyland, as well as the California Attractions and Park Association, or CAPA, which is a trade group that oversees a lot of the amusement industry in the state. Let's start with CAPA, which issued these reopening guidelines. These guidelines lay out a bunch of different ways that parks can stay safe when they reopen. That includes physical distancing and designated areas for eating. Those guidelines do not say anything about banning screaming on rides. The group even cleared this up on Twitter, saying in part, quote, these guidelines do not require parks to prohibit screaming. The Verify team also checked Disneyland's latest reopening guidelines, posted on their website, which again, say nothing about a no scream policy. So we can verify that no, Disneyland is not currently enforcing a no scream policy at their park. So when the park reopens on April 30th, rest assured you can do all the screaming that you want when you're on those rides. With your Verify, I'm Evan Kozloff.
Welcome back to DBL. Even though we're starting to round a corner in the pandemic, many people have been out of work since it began. So earlier, Tori spoke with author and career developer Ken Lindner, who gives advice on how to get back into the workforce. Take a look.
One of the major casualties of the coronavirus pandemic has been unemployment. Whether you're starting over or just starting out, it can be tough knowing where to begin. But career developer Ken Lindner has a breakdown for how to launch into your next endeavor, and it starts with 4 simple steps.
If you can take a job that you believe in, that you love, that makes you excited to go to work every day, and that takes advantage of your skill sets, not only will you be happy and fulfilled, but you'll in all likelihood, be hugely successful.
Many people who've had careers found themselves out of work this past year, but don't let that take the wind out of your sails. Ken calls this time a golden opportunity for a great professional reset.
Discover or rediscover what you really want from your job.
Step 2. Make a list of the things you love to do and the things you're good at, and don't be shy about it. These are your selling points and your assets. And in another list, dig deep into your contacts because you can make your address book work for you.
The third step, which is so important, is if you're 45 or 50 or 55 or 60, that means you have experience. And that means you also have made contacts. These are the people, because they are familiar with you, will be more likely to hire you or recommend you highly to someone who can hire you.
Know what else stands out to employers? When you've done your homework on the company, the position, and the expectations.
Have ideas that you can share with these people. If you are able to show them that you're a self-starter, you're proactive, this sends positive messages to a prospective employer. As you represent yourself, an employer is envisioning how you would represent the company
For more on Ken Lindner and his secrets to stepping back into the workforce with your best foot forward, pick up a copy of Ken's book, Career Choreography. We'll be right back.
We all know that movement is like medicine.
Families with kids could be getting thousands of dollars thanks to the massive stimulus bill passed in March. But how will the child tax credit work? Let's connect the dots. The stimulus bill expanded that credit for eligible families and could mean as much as $3,600 per qualified kid. But calculating how much you'll get is a little complicated. It depends on their age. Kids 5 and under qualify for the full $3,600, then $3,000 for kids ages 6 to 17, and $500 for an 18-year-old who's still a dependent. How much parents make matters too. If you're single, your adjusted gross income needs to be $75,000 or less to get the full amount. For joint filers, that limit is $150,000. If you make more, the amount you get per child decreases as your income rises. In order to get the payment, you need to file your 2020 taxes, and you won't get the payment in one lump sum. The money will be split between 2021 and 2022. According to CNET, this year's portion is expected to start going out in July and will be paid periodically. Right now, there's no set schedule.
Welcome back to DBL. Today's Heart Threads is all about spreading body positivity. Watch how one woman chose to embrace her uniqueness by modeling.
This aspiring model shows off her lymphatic condition with confidence. Mahogany Jeter has a condition called lymphedema in one leg. The incurable disease causes fluid to build up. Though the condition is not painful, she can feel the excessive weight from her larger leg.
It drains my energy, of course, because it's an extra 100 pounds.
Growing up, it was hard for Mahogany to love her body.
I've been through a very depressed state because you're a little kid and you have a bunch of grown adults staring at you.
But now that she's older, she's stopped caring what other people think. Mahogany started modeling to boost her confidence and inspire others who look different.
Once you start feeling how pretty you are, everyone else gets to realize it.
Wow, a true beauty inside and out. We'll be right back.
Promotional consideration is brought to you by
Getting a lot of viewer questions about Derek Chauvin's murder trial. Jean asks, is Chauvin incarcerated during his trial? Let's verify.
Our sources, court documents, and a legal expert. Police arrested Chauvin last May, 4 days after George Floyd's death. He spent 4 months in a Minnesota prison. But in October, court documents show he posted a $1 million bond and was released from custody.
But the judge ordered specific conditions, citing safety concerns.
Initially, Chauvin couldn't leave Minnesota. That's standard. But the judge changed that to allow Chauvin to live in any bordering state if he wants: Wisconsin, Iowa, or the Dakotas.
That is an unusual condition, and that's specifically because of presumed concerns about safety.
Rachel Moran is a professor at St. Thomas Law School in Minneapolis.
He previously had a house in Minnesota, and his address had been released. Many people knew about it. He couldn't go live there. So the idea is that he's living in an undisclosed location.
The court and law enforcement know where Chauvin's staying, but the judge ordered them to keep it confidential, except on a need-to-know basis. Chauvin is monitored by a conditional release officer with the Minnesota Department of Corrections, and the judge is ordering him to keep a cell phone on him at all times in case they call.
I think the reason for that is to compensate for the fact that they're allowing him to live out of state.
Plus, he has to surrender any passports.
That's fairly standard.
So we can verify, no, Derek Chauvin is not incarcerated during his trial. With your Verify, I'm Gabe Cohen.
Tomorrow on DBL, one of the brightest minds on Earth, astrophysicist Neil deGrasse Tyson is live. Do aliens exist? And what's really beyond the universe? He joins us live tomorrow on DBL.
We are all geeking out about tomorrow. Okay, so a lot of you have comments about aging. So Robin says, I could use everything lifted up. I picture it kind of like that scene in Men in Black with the bug alien played by James D'Onofrio. Betty says, it's your body, so if you can afford it, go for it. And Sue says, I'm all about aging naturally. I've earned each and every one of my wrinkles. Amen, Sue. Amen.
Wow, James D'Onofrio. That guy gets 2-point credit for pulling that one out.
I know, totally. But I get the whole like sagging thing. Like, man, after you breastfeed 2 kids, you're just not the same. You ain't.
Tell us about it.
I just did.
What else do we have to look forward to, Sam?
But you know what? They nourished 2 children. It's amazing. I wouldn't trade it for anything in the world. A quick goodbye to our coworkers who tuned in from home. We will see you all later. We miss you. Keep up the great work. DBL's new every day. We'll see you tomorrow, same time, same place. Bye, Tori.
Thank you.